You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
It's good to be back.
Lawrence on the move, launching down the middle, intercepted. Over through the man and DeMar Hamlin. A huge roar as one of the most popular, inspiring Bills comes up with the takeaway.
Oh my goodness, holy Toledo. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. It is Tuesday, September 24th. Here in Southwest Florida, we are embracing for yet another tropical storm / hurricane. But that's okay. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot to think about because their season, both of them so far, are hurricane suck. S-U-C-K, suck. Wow. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. You can follow me on Twitter X at PShep326, on Facebook at SR1029 The Game, on Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube. And you call or text the show, 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. Lots to get to today. We're going to recap both Monday Night Football games, both the Buffalo Bills embarrassing the Jacksonville Jaguars. And in a battle of LSU quarterbacks, it was Jaden Daniels who got the best of Joey Burrow last night. Both played well. But the Washington Commanders win last night, 38-33 on the road in Cincy. The Bungles are 3-0, or 0-3, I should say. The Jaguars are 0-3. They got humiliated last night, 47-10. And good morning. We're going to break it all down. Got lots of sound, lots of video, lots of reaction. Some more college football news today. We've got an MLB rundown. Pigskin Pick, my recap from the week. I waited until both Monday night games are over. I'll give you my my picks and how I did this past weekend and overall in that. And shout out right at the top, Angel, to my man Otis. My man Otis is his birthday today. He checks into the show from time to time. I wish he'd call in sometime, but long-time listener and follower of me over at the other place with Craig and now here. So, but Otis, I want to wish you a happy birthday. You popped up on my Facebook page today, so I say to you, happy birthday and many, many more. Let me say good morning to Angel Martinez. Angel, how are you? Bread, water, milk.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand when they tell you about
all. We don't have any down here, but
no. I think the funny part is that they tell you, make sure you buy enough ass paper. I'm like, So if there's no food, you got water. What are you gonna, what's the purpose of having all that butt paper for when you won't need it whatsoever? But whatever's. Good thing is, finally, these clowns decided to win.
I'm going to get to that, too. Phillies clinched their first title in National League East Championship since 2011. Congratulations to your Phillies. That will be coming up at 8:15 when I do my Red Sox report. All of a sudden, they're red hot. And the Phillies winning. We'll go through the MLB rundown as well. Yeah, so that was good. Congratulations to your Phillies. Well-deserved.
Yeah, for now. Just wait till this postseason. I hope the way they've been playing on the stretch here with the Mets and everything else, that they decide not to – you
are like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Oh, bother, woe is me. I was listening to you yesterday and then Q a little bit, and I understand the Sirianni stuff because I'm telling you, I think a great analogy by me is that he reminds me a lot of first-year Pete Carroll with the Patriots. Not Seattle Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll first year with the Patriots. Very, very similar in their antics and their demeanor and what they say in press conferences and all that stuff. But we'll get to that and a whole lot more. But it was just amazing what I saw last night or didn't see. The Jacksonville Jaguars are pathetic right now, and every game has been worse than the previous one. Every single game. Been horrible. And last night was the ultimate butt whipping, and that team didn't respond at all to Doug Peterson. I don't know what adjustments they tried to make or didn't try to make, but everybody's going to be on the chopping block this week, to quote from my favorite show, Chopped, one of them on Food Network. The ingredients aren't coming together, Angel. They're not coming together. This looks very eerie to what it was a couple years ago. Dare I say, the Urban Meyer era for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is almost as pathetic. Trevor Lawrence has lost 8 in a row. 8 games in a row dating back to last year. Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, I don't know what that was last night. Ryan Nielsen, they got DC. They got demolished last night. Now you look at the 2 previous games. If it wasn't for, I think, Jacksonville's defense, they probably wouldn't have even been in those 2 games, but they were. Last night was an absolute debacle. Absolute debacle. So they got to go to Houston this week on short rest and on the road. So. Man, oh man. Now, Philly pulled it off last week. Your Eagles lost, horrible loss. They gave it away to Atlanta, then went on the road to New Orleans and played good defense and made a couple of plays and won that game. Jacksonville has to go to Houston. I don't feel the same. Like I was confident. I picked Philadelphia. I don't know what this Jacksonville team is about. They're going to just talk about, Mac Jones came in last night, I think on the 3rd play, fumble. Led to a score. We'll get to all that. I got all the highlights. But this Jacksonville Jaguar team right now, I don't know what they're all about. And the Cincinnati Bengals, although have played better and not get blown out, they're a mess too. But I have a little more faith in the Bengals trying to figure it out. And Doug Peterson, they lose next week in Houston, there's going to be some firings. And remember, Doug Peterson fired the whole staff a couple of years ago. He took over from Urban Meyer and then hired his own people. Well, whatever it is this year and the end of last year, I know Trevor got it, but it ain't working. That is an embarrassing. There was no creativity on offense. Trevor Lawrence, I'll give him credit. We'll hear from him. He takes responsibility. Doug Peterson says we stink right now, and I understand all the coach speak, but nothing's getting done over there. Nothing. It's one game is worse than the next. So we're gonna break it all down. But then as they played the opening cut for Hamlin getting his first career interception, that was something, Angel. That was pretty cool. Goosebumps when you saw that. Unless you're a Jaguar fan, where maybe you had goosebumps, but then you threw up. But never
possibility.
Nevertheless, and if we could, Angel, scroll down on my Twitter page, and I got the play. It's under Ari Mirioff. Well, it's actually under Jerry Thornton from Barstool. You'll see it, and it is the. I'm sorry, that's a Mac Jones play. Not that. I'm sorry, not that. Where is it?
Look what it means to DeMar.
No, that's afterwards. I thought I had. Oh man. Well, we can play that one for now. Go ahead.
Mac Jones.
No, the DeMar Hamlin one.
Okay.
We'll get to Mac Jones afterwards. This was get his first interception last night. This is what it meant to him. It's under ESPN, yeah.
Just a wonderful moment. Don't have to be a Bills fan to appreciate this. Many of the folks with 3 fingers in the air, and DeMar Hamlin not let go of that football. Can you imagine a first career interception feeling any sweeter than that when he thought his career, and most did, was over?
Yeah, he told us on the production call, he said, hey, look, trainer Denny Kellington told me, I got you. Meaning, I got you. I'm looking over you. You just go play free. And you can see it in DeMar's body language now. Now he's all the way back. He's just playing ball again. How sweet it is for him.
Just a wonderful.
Yeah, it really was something. And again, DeMar Hamlin got first career interception, pass intended for rookie Brian Thomas Jr. And 5 plays later, Allen completed a 27-yard touchdown pass to Shakir, caught the ball at the 22, and then broke a couple of tackles running up the right sideline for the score. The Bills basically did whatever they want. They took pity on Jacksonville in the second half because that game was over. That game was over in the first quarter, 13-0, and I felt no confidence at all that Jacksonville would be able to come back. It was 34-3 at halftime. It just was an absolute debacle Or as my old buddy from my first year in radio, who was an idiot, Bill, used to say, debacle. And he meant it that way.
What the hell?
He meant it that way. All right, so after the game, well, you heard some of the highlights. Well, let's give you some of the highlights, some of the good stuff for the Buffalo Bills. Let's see. Here's one. Here's James Cook. Gets it going.
That's pretty cool. I've been wearing LeBron's cleats, the Fruity Pebbles at practice for that reason.
Oh, that's not what I want to
I'm
play.
a big
That's
fan
my
of his, and coming from him.
Yeah, I don't care that you wear cleats of Fruity Pebbles, freaking LeBron James. I do not care about that. All right, here's one. Here's a good one for Josh Allen.
Fake to Cook. And now pitches downfield. In stride, Keon Coleman, and a touchdown for the rookie. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns.
Yep, he threw 4 touchdown passes in the first half. Keon Coleman right there and is celebrating his first career touchdown.
I mean, it's great. They took a little long to get over there. I can't really dance, so I ain't have much of a celebration plan. But, usually I let somebody spike the ball. But with them, probably would have went in the stands, and I would have never got my ball back. So I was like, nah, let's just hold on to that one.
Yeah, DeMar Hamlin, as I said, a big interception. His first one ever against Trevor Lawrence in the second quarter. Of course, it gets frozen.
Lawrence on the move, launching down the middle, intercepted. Overthrew the man, and DeMar Hamlin. A huge roar as one of the most popular, inspiring Bills comes up with the takeaway.
Next to ESPN Monday Night Football after the game, DeMar Hamlin said it was special.
All right, after you get your first career interception, you turn around and your entire defense is waiting for you, the whole team on the sideline. What was that like for you?
It's special, man. They were a big part of me being able to make this type of comeback. They pushed me. They gave me love. They gave me grace. They gave me everything I needed on the journey. And, they was even happier than I was to get my first interception. But that just shows the community and the bond that we have here in Buffalo. It's truly a special place, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
You mentioned that journey that you've been on. Hard to even put it into words, but how would you describe your emotions tonight?
There is no words for it, man. I'm still processing it as I go. But, I was able to take it one day at a time. And, just my teammates, my coaches, the whole entire, Bills organization, was always there for me and supporting me, just like they are now. So, I'm just truly thankful that I'm a Buffalo Bill.
All right, great stuff there. Good for him. And it really is an unbelievable turnaround for Hamlin. Not so much a turnaround for the Bills. They're 3-0 again. I think the second time in 3 years they've started off 3-0 as well. Meanwhile, in the game for the numbers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, 21 of 38, 178 yards, a touchdown, and that one pick to Hamlin. Mac Jones came in 5 of 8 for 22 yards with about 7.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. He was not good either. Despite the 5 of 8, that's like averaging 4 yards a carry, plus he fumbled the ball. We'll get to that. Josh Allen finished 23 of 30, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Trubisky came in late and was 1 for 1 for 3 yards. Josh Allen also leading rusher on the team again for the Buffalo Bills. 6 attempts, 44 yards. He dove head first again a couple of times. It's the only, if it's like I'm critiquing a recipe, it's my only critique. A little bit on presentation is him diving again a couple of times head first, running the ball, and he kind of half dove head first, half slid. If you want to process that, you can see the highlights for yourself, and I'll get a couple of them. I'll play them a little bit later on. But after the game, let's hear from Doug Peterson first, and then we'll hear from Trevor Lawrence.
So we got to look at the tape, and we got to decide this week on a short week. Some of those answers.
You stick with what you're trying to do, or you can't rip everything up, but you just have to keep trying to figure out what you want to do as a game plan, or can you go in an opposite direction?
Well, I don't necessarily think you go in an opposite direction. You've invested a lot of time, but there has to be changes, whether it's play design, personnel, everything's on the table. Let's call it, right? And those are all things that we have to I have to look at, we have to look at as a staff and make the adjustments.
See, it's starting to sound, and I like Doug Peterson a lot, but it's starting to sound blah, 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 blah. A lot of coach speak. It's a lot of bullshit. It's a whole lot of stuff. Timmy says, who needs Diggs? Buffalo is just fine. Good luck, Houston. And then Daniels looked great last night. Is that good, or is it Cincy that bad? I'm leaning toward he's going to be a great quarterback for years to come. I tend to agree with you, Tim. Those were some spot-on throws last night. And, man, he's absolutely – I think he's going to be the real deal. I mean, not one game is not a season make, but that was fantastic. We'll get to that game in a second. Here's Trevor Lawrence taking accountability.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I have to watch it and really see kind of all the plays. And I know there's obviously some in my mind that I'm thinking about that didn't go our way, and we got to figure out why and how do we learn from it, what we can do better every position. It's just one of those times where we don't have any momentum. It seems like everyone takes their turn on making a bad play at the wrong time, including myself. It seems really difficult to go forward. Can't find that rhythm right now, and we all have our share in it, and it takes us making the plays out there. Players play, coaches coach, and when we step on the field, we got to make the plays, and so we have to take all the accountability, all the criticism, all the scrutiny, because we're not doing that right now, and that's our job, is to go make the plays. And I know that I'm not playing as good as I can play, just point blank. There's plays out there, the one to Brian, which I'm sure you guys saw, like that, just a throw you missed and turns into a turnover. And it's a game where the defense needed us to make some plays, to get some momentum, to settle in, to keep the ball, put some points on the board, give them a little breather, and that, for example, really hurts us. So it's just we gotta make the plays. It's that simple. This game is. It's hard, but it's not that hard. We made it look really, really hard today, and we're a lot better than that.
No, you're not. I think on paper you are. And Shad Khan, with all the millions of dollars that he has spent, not just on Trevor Lawrence with his $275 million contract extension, but a lot of other guys that they signed to that team. Man, oh man, the whole organization, plus the rebuilding of the stadium and the renovations and all that stuff. And, still time for this team to turn it around, but my goodness, it's rough going right now for the Jaguars. 0-3 and an on-the-road short week in Houston this week. Meanwhile, the opposite of that, Josh Allen was outstanding, 22 of 28, 247 yards. That was just in the first half hour of the game. He had completions to 9 receivers. He only attempted 2 passes in the second half. And again, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Ty Johnson, all recipients of Josh Allen touchdown passes, all in the first half. I mean, it was a joke. On the other hand, Buffalo's defense in the first half limited Jacksonville to only 70 yards total, 5 first downs, and a field goal in the first 5 possessions. And the game was over, really, right before halftime. As we talked about, Damar Hamlin with his first pick, then later led to that Shakir touchdown. 21 months after that Hamlin had suffered went into cardiac arrest and had to be resuscitated on the field in that Monday night game at Cincinnati. The last time the Jaguars opened up 0-3 was 2021, as I said, under Coach Urban Meyer, who was canned before the end of the season. And not only that, you had some injuries as well for the Jaguars. Jerry Jones, their cornerback, he didn't return. He hurt his left shoulder on Buffalo's opening drive, so that sucked for them. Foyesade Oluokun, the linebacker, was ruled out with a foot injury, and right tackle Anton Harrison was ruled out with a knee injury. So the Jaguars are in deep doo-doo here going into Houston this week. They really are, and it's going to be I think heads are going to roll over there. Give them one more week. If they go to Houston, a pissed-off Texan team that got humiliated by the who did they lose to last week? Minnesota. In Minnesota. Got humiliated in Minnesota. And I don't know. I don't know what humiliation is worse, the way that they got beat down badly by the Vikings or what happened to the Jaguars. Both teams blown out. Both teams should be ready to go on Sunday again. We know what teams do after they get blown out in the NFL. A lot of them will respond, but in this case, right now, I had no faith in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was out in front of Trevor Lawrence. I thought he'd play with a big chip on his shoulder. I thought the Jaguars would play a chip on their shoulder. We're going to talk to Mia O'Brien at 9:30. She was not in Buffalo last night. Lucky her. But I know she did the post-game show last night on 1010 XL, so we'll get some of her thoughts. Jay Flannery before that at 8:30 a.m. from Ann Arbor. And we'll talk some college football. Wolverines, a nice win over USC over on Saturday. But, man, see, Angel, you think you have problems. You think your Eagles have problems. And, on the surface, every team has problems. But you might say in spite of Nick Sirianni, but nevertheless, your team responded and got a win on the road. And they have not looked like that. They have not looked like the Jaguars or the Bengals. They've had their moments. You can say that. But they have not looked piss poor like the Bengals and the Jaguars have this year. So you got that going for you, Angel.
Yay. That's wonderful. No, listen, Dougie P could be definitely in the hot seat. If you go to Houston, you lose at Houston.
He's fired.
Honestly,
He's fired.
I thought, honestly, when I was upset initially when he went on to the Jags, I'm like, all right, he could possibly end up winning another Super Bowl down there. Just because he was the one that finally won one for the Eagles fans. But he's looked bad. I mean, there's no other word around it, but he's looked bad.
But they're not responding, Angel. That's the thing. I don't. Remember he said he's going to take away the play calling, and Press Taylor's the OC, and I don't know who's calling. I think Doug Peterson is calling the majority of the plays, but whatever it is not working. Every game has been worse than the next. This game was horrible. The worst one of the three. The one against Cleveland last week, and who they opened up against when they lost. Also, close. Oh, Miami. They lost to Miami. Etienne fumbles the ball through the end zone. They lose that. That was bad enough. That was a heartbreaker. They go to take on Cleveland and the home opener, and Deshaun Watson plays just well enough, and they lose to the Browns. And then this week they go on the road to Buffalo and get absolutely scorched. I like that word. Scorched.
Yep. By the way,
scorched.
By the way, Gas from Guy says, good morning, fellas. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep an eye on the weather. It's going to get crazy out there. And then Jerry from Rhode Island says, Buffalo is the Waco team. I'd like to see them win in the Super Bowl at least once, but they will when they get there.
Well, we'll see. Look, right now they're playing really well. And I give them a ton of credit. It's Jacksonville is caught in a brain fart right now. They cannot get out of their own way. They can't. But don't want to take credit away from Buffalo because they took it to them. They came out ready to play, as did their fans. Jacksonville looked like they were walking dead. If that show had a football team on it and revamped it, Walking Dead / NFL, you'd see the Jacksonville Jaguars waking up out of, going around trying to bite people, turn them into zombies. Crazy stuff.
Who would I would love to know when Mia comes on who she believes if Dougie P gets fired, who would be the either interim or who would they go after?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of times when this happens, I don't know if Press Taylor would get called into action, the offensive coordinator or some other coach on the team. Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator. After last night, I don't know. And Trent Baalke, who many thought including myself, I thought he had a pretty good off season, but right now it's an absolute disaster over there, absolute disaster. Angel, if we could scroll down, let's might as well get the Jaguars out to Jerry Thornton. The Mac Jones dynasty in Jacksonville has begun. This was he came in with about 7:25 to go. This was a minute in, I believe. This was his third snap. Didn't go all that well for the former Patriot and current Jaguar.
Jones, pump fake, ball knocked loose, scooped up. Eventually fumbled and then scooped up. That's Casey Toohill, a guy who's come off the bench here, made a big impact late in the game. Another takeaway for this Buffalo defense.
Yeah, they went out to score again. It was awful. And Mac Jones, and I can't imagine that Trevor Lawrence is going to get benched in Houston for Mac Jones. I can't imagine that. But I don't know. Maybe it's Doug Peterson's desperate attempt to get something going, provide a spark. I mean, the backup quarterback in the history of the NFL has always been the most popular guy in the room when things are going awry. But I'm not sure it's the right time to put Mac Jones in there over Trevor Lawrence. If things don't go well in the first half for them in Houston on Sunday, then I can absolutely see that, Angel. But I don't think you start Mac Jones, but certainly Trevor Lawrence may be on a short leash. The last couple he went 3 and out the last couple of drives he was on. It doesn't look good. He doesn't look confident. Nobody does on that team. And the offensive line looks pathetic. The best guy last night by a long shot was Mitch Morse, who's the guy they signed. He's 32 years old. He's the oldest guy in the offensive line. He's the only one that looked okay. That offensive line stinks. And defensively, they've been pretty good the first 2 games. Last night, they got no pass rush. They got nothing. When they got a little mini pass rush, Josh Allen just sort of tiptoed his way through the tulips and, found open receivers all night long. And if they weren't open, he took off and ran, sometimes stupidly head first again, but nevertheless, always seemed to get the first down. So there's a lot to dissect and analyze here, and that's just with the first game. Amazing stuff. When we come back, quick break here. When we come back, we will delve into the Cincinnati Bengals and their 0-3 start and give a lot of credit to the Washington Commanders on the road. In the battle of LSU quarterbacks with Joey Burrow and Jaden Daniels, they went at it, and Jaden got the best of Joey last night on the road. Some great highlights from that one and some coaching reaction, player reaction as well, as the Washington Commanders hung on and beat Cincinnati 38-33. And right now, you could make an argument that they look the best in the NFC East, believe it or not. It's just one game. But for the week overall, I give Philadelphia a lot of credit for doing what they did on the road, especially defensively and making plays. But overall, just at least for 1 week, you could tip your cap to I won't tip my cap to the Giants because Cleveland just was horrible after taking a 7-0 lead seconds into the game and just didn't really care after that. I think Washington looked the best out of the NFC East this week. Overall. That's just one week, but nevertheless, never thought I'd be saying that at the beginning of the season. All right, quick break. When we come back, we will break down Cincinnati and the Washington Commanders game from last night, the other game that was on Monday Night Football. Reaction, and your reaction as well, 727-858-6650. It's a Pete Sheppard Show on a Tuesday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our 2nd location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Don't miss the return of the legend, former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas. Tim will be at Sports World on Saturday, October 5th from noon until 2 p.m. Tim will be signing and taking photos. Prices vary, so don't miss this awesome event. Saturday, October 5th at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome.
Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
This one is launched for McLaurin. He's got it. Touchdown. Touchdown, Terry McLaurin.
Welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. My goodness, what a night it was last night for the Cincinnati Bengals. A great night for the Buffalo Bills, but a great night also for the Cincinnati Bengals. A great night for the Washington Commanders, I should say. Not a good night for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Commanders hang on and win 38-33, and that was one of how many touchdowns? He had two touchdown passes from Jaden Daniels last night. That one right there as Geno Stone bit, and Terry McLaurin caught the touchdown pass, and that was the one that sealed it 38-33. The Washington Commanders now 2-1, and the Bengals 0-3. Now, Angel Martinez, what have I told you at the beginning of the year that after the first 3 games of the season that the Bengals and Jacksonville will be combined 0-6? You would have said you should audition for the next chapter of The Joker and go into that movie.
Yep, pretty much, because I didn't see that coming for sure. I also don't see that the Commanders will end up being in first place. Granted, it's 2-1, Eagles 2-1, whatever. But just I guess the difference at the helm of head coaching, your quarterback with Jaden Daniels, I still understand some of these guys either with the whole jewelry thing. I don't get it, but because he had some big old diamonds in his ears, and I forgot what game was Sunday. I think it might have been, matter of fact, Derrick Henry with like this super thick gold chain and a big piece of ice on his neck. I'm like, what? Where are you guys? Are you guys going to a club? Last I checked, you're on the gridiron.
Well, I don't know how they're allowed to even wear it. I mean, you can't do that in the NBA. You're not allowed to wear jewelry, I don't believe, on the floor because of, God forbid something happens and you get poked somewhere you shouldn't or whatever. I'm so past that stuff, Angel. Now it doesn't even bother me anymore. Hamlin and company. Hamlin, who else was? They were shirtless at the press conference last night, which I thought was a little odd after the game. Both of them up there, but whatever. Can't throw a shirt on, I guess. They're all tattooed and all over the place. But if we could scroll down, Angel, and before we get to some of the other highlights, could scroll down. It's the 4th or 5th, 6th one down. That play I just told you, Ari Miroff, Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin. This is how it looked in case you guys fell asleep last night. This was a very, very exciting game with the Commanders already up 31-26. This one iced it. Great play, great throw by Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin on Monday Night Football.
We've only got 10 guys on the field. They're down in 7. This one is launched from McLaurin. He's got it. Touchdown! Touchdown, Terry McLaurin. We've only got 10 guys on the field.
What a throw that was, outstanding. And in that game also, I mean, it's not like Joey Burrow sucked, but he was 29 of 39, 324 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. Daniels was 21 of 23. 21 of 23, yes, nearly perfect. 254 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Let's see. After the game, Jaden Daniels credits his teammates for the big night.
Good to you.
We were just executing at a high level. Good credit to my old line, good credit to my receivers, my running backs, and most importantly, good credit to God.
Now I'm going to tell you something. You were 21 for 23 passing, a 91% completion percentage. That's the highest for a rookie ever in the history of this league. Just what does that even mean to you?
That's crazy. Give glory to God, man. I want to be in this business without him, so I can't do no without him.
You were able to connect tonight with Terry McLaurin, your number 1. Just take us through the touchdown pass that kind of sealed the game.
Yeah, cover 0. I knew I was going to take a hit, but I trust my player to go out there and trust my guy to go make a play.
And that connection, what's it been like just kind of getting chemistry with that guy? He said he's been so patient.
It's been great. He's a pro's pro. All credit to him. It's not going to be, smooth at first. We're going to have to grow and keep growing.
But that wasn't your first NFL touchdown pass. Your first was to an offensive lineman. That was Trent Scott's first touchdown as well. In fact, he'd never even run a route. Who gets to keep that football?
I had to keep it. That's my first one. I had to. That's going to be a crazy trivia in the future, like who was my first career touchdown pass to.
Congratulations to you. Go celebrate.
Let's go to the other locker room real quick. Normally I would play a team reaction. Let's go to the other locker room real quick and see if Joey Burrow had a private conversation with God as well in a losing effort. I don't think he did.
It was a very positive conversation. We're not happy with where we're at. But by no means is the season over. We're 0-3. There's 14 left to play. We just have to continue to get better cards fall in the next 10 weeks, whenever the bye is. So we just got to go into this week preparing to get better and trying to get a win. That's what I can do.
Was that your idea? Was that Zach's idea? How did you feel?
All right, that was a private conversation Joey Bower had with Zach Taylor, the head coach, and not the Lord. The Lord doesn't visit visiting locker rooms. Meanwhile, well, no, what am I going to tell you? The Lord's never around when you lose. Post-game, Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn in the locker room.
We said earlier in the week, man, you put the work in when it's ready for go time, right? There was a lot of people outside our building said, nah, that's a bad win tonight, all right? All right? Let's go get another one. All right? Take it on the road, head to Arizona. Proud of you guys, man. All right? That's a great team win tonight. All right? Team win.
What?
I think they're doing like a Who Dey, like Cincinnati does, Who Dey Bengals, that kind of thing. I think they were making fun of them a little bit. Meanwhile, back to the visiting locker room, Zach Taylor was asked if it was disappointing how the defense played last night.
It's a good offense. We got to get stops, and we never really put them in a third and long situation until that last one. That was really the first time that we put them behind the chains. And so when they can dictate the tempo, which they did, they were on the ball, they dictated the tempo. They kept themselves in really manageable situations. I thought the quarterback played great, 2 incompletions, made a lot of plays with his feet, so it was a difficult challenge, and obviously it wasn't enough from us today.
All right, and Zach Taylor asked one more question about adjustments they could have made after halftime.
Sometimes, Zach, you guys make adjustments, especially after halftime. What adjustments?
It's Mike Petraglia.
It's a tough start to start the half. We felt good coming out of half. We give up a big kickoff return, put them right down there. And then again, there was just kind of one play in each drive that we just needed to make that stop. There was one situation where we had them behind the sticks, and there was some tackling in the perimeter. Certainly that's got to improve. But it's a disappointing way to lose.
Very disappointing way to lose. At least they were sort of in the game. They scored a late touchdown to make it closer than it really was, 38-33. But give credit to the Commanders last night. Again, Jaden Daniels, 21-23, 254 yards. That's an NFL rookie record for completion percentage, 91.3%. 91.3%. Commanders now 2-1. They scored on every possession except for the kneel down at the end of each half. Think about that. They scored on every single possession except for, the kneel downs at the end of that. That's unbelievable. Neither Washington nor Cincinnati, by the way, punted last night or had a turnover. How about that? The first time that's happened in a game in the Super Bowl era. Imagine that. No punts and no turnovers. First time in the Super Bowl era. Going on, almost 60 years. Joey Burrow, a season best, 324 yards and 3 touchdowns. But Cincinnati just could not keep up. And they're off to their worst start since going 0-11 back in 2019 when they finished 2-14. Let's see. Daniels' first career touchdown pass, a 1-yard toss to eligible tackle Trent Scott. That was cool to start the second half. The second straight game in which the Bengals gave up a touchdown to a lineman, by the way. And let's see. What else? Bengals offensive tackle Trent Brown, former Patriot, was carted off the field with a right knee injury in the first half. He didn't return. Commanders running back Austin Eckler left the second half with a concussion. Next up, Commanders at Arizona on Sunday. Bengals are at Carolina on Sunday. So if the Bengals are going to turn it around, it's going to have to come, in Carolina, where besides last week's game, they have been awful. But the Red Rifle is back in there, Andy Dalton, and looks like he's going to start again this week. So all of a sudden, the rejuvenated Carolina Panthers in that game, which I'm sure the Bengals fans circled as a W on the schedule when the season started, not too good right now. Not too good. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out on the the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Following me on Twitter X at PShep326, on Facebook at SR102.9 The Game, SR1029thegame.com, ION TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, LinkedIn, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube. You can call or text 727-858-6650. We had a tremendous day yesterday, not only on this show, but across the whole network. It was fantastic, Angel. Before I forget, anything, I know it's Tuesday, anything coming up today or repeats of any shows, whatever you want to inform everybody about. And also, keep in mind about what is about to happen down here in Florida, Southwest Florida anyway, is a potential tropical storm and more than likely going to be a hurricane by tomorrow or by Thursday in the morning at least. And heading up towards Tampa area, they're saying it could be as high as a Cat 3. Down here where I am in my part of Fort Myers, looks like it's going to be a 1 or a 2 hurricane. But where I am in Fort Myers, we're just going to get a little bit of rain, not much else. However, a few miles down the road on Fort Myers Beach and the coastal areas in Cape Coral, they could get hit pretty hard again, depending on what the weather is like. I'm planning on having a show on Friday. Don't want to miss any Fridays, so it's too big of a day. We're supposed to leave right after or early afternoon to go fly up to South Carolina to pick up our 6-year-old rescue, Scotty, Terry, or Luna. Don't know if that's not going to be the case. We have a contingency plan in case, get a car getting ready to rent that will drive up there. Take the 10-hour drive up there, and we would do that Thursday afternoon after Peanut Gallery gets out of work. So if that's the case, then there won't be a show on Friday, but hopefully there will be. Hopefully our flight won't get canceled to South Carolina. Hopefully we'll have the show on Friday. But just letting you guys know, it's just another pain in the ass. It's the price you pay for living down here for great weather for 90% of the time. But this is stuff you have to deal with. It looks more and more, at least a couple of tracks. I hope it veers off even more left. But certainly the Panhandle seems to going to be getting. And I hope, Angel, that you guys don't get the brunt of it up there too. Though they're saying right now the projection looks like it could be a Cat 3 when it hits Tampa.
Yep. That's what it's looking like at about 2 o'clock, I believe, Thursday afternoon, from what it seems like, because that Thursday morning at 2 a.m., it'll be close to your neck of the woods. And then some 12 hours later, it'll be heading to my neck of the woods up here. And they're saying it's a 3. The bad part is because of these surges is where the Gulf Coast gets hammered. And for those who've never been in this area, like Clearwater Beach, for example, after a hurricane, and depending how much sand, because obviously as these waves come by, it looks like, a snowstorm up north. There's like at least 3 or 4 inches of sand on the streets, and they do a good job to clean up pretty quick today. So that would end up being the big thing down here. But then you got Cedar Key, who just got hit not too long ago. They just lost a historical building, has survived. Over 100 years old, survived hurricane after hurricane, and ended up fire and taking them down. But yeah, that's that for what's coming up. And I hope it won't create a lot of havoc and damage. But the one thing that I wanted to mention as well, as you had just kind of lightly talked about it, Pete, if you guys, thank you all once again for all tuning in. Of course, Pete Sheppard Show, Martinez Company, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, The Drive with Q, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Lloyd last night, basketball show on Wednesday nights. But if you guys end up traveling over to the website, SR1029, SR1029thegame.com, you guys will see right in the middle there, next to the live show.
Right there.
Yep. Is the app. All you guys got to do is click on that picture and it will jump you off to another screen so you guys can download the app from there. And then the neat thing is with the app is the same way you see this layout is the same way you'll end up seeing it. You'll get the live show where you can make live comments up there. And by the way, if you're listening to the show or you want to watch it on the app or on the website, just click here where it says unmute. I can't, or now we're going to get a double echo effect if I end up doing so. And then you can also text the show, call the show definitely from there. And then if you jump in the car, the radio player is right behind it. So all you have to do is hit play on the radio player and you'll be able to hear the show that way as well. So that is that. And speaking of hurricanes, ironically, not the Miami Hurricanes, but did you happen to see, Pete, the fight that happened over in LA with the Rams and 49ers?
I did. And it's becoming more and more in a lot of NFL stadiums, but particularly that rivalry. It's happening more and more at Sanford, and there were some big-time punches thrown by men and women. It's just so sad.
It is.
It's so sad that it has to be that way. But yeah, and I don't know if anybody got seriously hurt, but that particular rivalry seems to be happening more and more.
Yep, and it's first of all, Okay.
Because there's all San Francisco fans there anyway, 90% of them.
But my thing is, okay, so oh boy, I understand if number one, the one guy was a just dum-dum. I'll play here in a second. He was a dummy for asking for it. But if a girl goes to hit you or a lady, don't swing. Like, try and do your best to kind of like deflect as much as you can.
Yeah, you can block and defend yourself, but don't,
No, don't take a full swing. I mean,
the only time you should ever hit a woman or anybody, but if you're going to hit a woman, she better have a gun to your head or a knife to your throat or something like that. Then if it's self-defense, complete self-defense, I don't care who it is, man, woman, child, or dog, or cat, whatever, you have a right to defend yourself. But 99% of the time, don't do it. You got the brawl right here. I saw this yesterday. This was hideous what happened. Look at these idiots. That guy walked away. What are you a-holes trying to prove? What are you trying to prove?
Again, even if she's coming after you, like, do your best to try to even de-escalate the situation. But why swing at it? Even if you were trying to hit the other guy, the woman was right there. It's just, it's so dumb. But again,
the whole thing is stupid. And it's just people getting shit-faced and, nobody can take a joke anymore. I mean, if somebody look, you're not going to win in this situation. I mean, I know there's video cameras everywhere. The security never seems to be around for this stuff, or they're always a day late and $1 short. It's like after a melee breaks out and then you see swarm. And I understand that. And on the whole, security people do a really good job. You can't stop. But this stuff is happening all the time now in NFL, and more so in NFL than college stadiums, really. It really is. Every week, Angel, we see videos like that. Every single freaking week. It's unbelievable. All right, let's get back to some fun stuff here before we take a break. First hour is almost in the books. Lots of NFL stuff coming up, some college football stuff as well. Next hour at 8:15, Red Sox report and the MLB rundown. We'll talk about the Phillies winning their first NL East titles since 2011. It's 13 years ago to you and me. Jay Flannery comes up at 8:30 a.m. from Ann Arbor. He'll brag about his Wolverines holding off USC. And me, O'Brien, from 1010 XL, which probably, if she was part of their postgame show last night, that means she was probably up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but she's generously decided to come on this show at 9:30, and she will try to explain what the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they have to do, what they need to do, what they can do, what they can't do, and see if she's pretty sure she's going to be on her way to Houston this week, and that could be really something, especially if the Jaguars go into another hostile territory. Two teams that have sucked the last week. The Texans getting humiliated in Minnesota. The Jaguars getting humiliated last night on the short week and have to travel. Not too far, but nevertheless. Now, Angel Martinez, I have a trivia question for you.
Oh, okay.
It's an NFL question. There is only one team. I'm going to play my Jeopardy music. There is only one team in the NFL not to hold a lead for a single second this season. Only one team in the NFL. And I'll give you one hint. It was nobody that played last night. This team is the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead for a single game this season.
Oh, if I had to do the Jimmy Buffett, would it be the Finns to the left, the Finns to the right?
Yes. Bingo. Very, very good. Miami Dolphins, the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead for a single second this season. This is the team that had the best total offense in the NFL regular season last year.
Jeepers creepers.
Yep. If we could scroll down. Also, it's 2 down under Pat McAfee. Tua Tagovailoa supposed to meet with neurologists last week with schedules got mixed up. And here's Pat McAfee and Adam Schefter talking about the Miami Dolphin quarterback situation. Probably won't play this whole thing, Angel, but let's start it anyway.
Talk about doom and gloom. It's kind of looking like that for our Dolphins fans. All I've been seeing relate to us are butt cheeks all over my timeline. But as far as the quarterback situation goes for us, Skyler got banged up. Obviously, Tua's on IR. Do you have any information? Maybe are we working the phones, trying to get a trade, trying to sign a guy available? Any information there as far as what Miami's doing with their quarterback situation going forward?
You know, here's a team that was all in, right? Like they paid Tyreek Hill. They paid Jalen Ramsey. They paid their head coach. They have some veterans. They paid Tua. Like they're trying to win. So Tua gets hurt, and then Skylar Thompson exits with what looks like a pretty painful chest injury, doesn't finish the game. Obviously, we'll see if he can even make it back for next week. But even if he could, you still have to address the quarterback position before the season slips away. In my mind, like they have to be making calls. Didn't hear anything back this morning, but there are three quarterbacks in my mind that make sense. Now, I'm not telling you that they have or will reach out to any of these quarterbacks, but I think I'd call Denver and I'd say, what would you want for Zach Wilson? I would call Pittsburgh and I would say, what would you want for Russell Wilson?
First rounder.
And I would call Cleveland and say, what do you want for Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Because they have to save their season here. And it doesn't look like they can. Now, maybe Tyler Huntley can step in relief here and stop the bleeding and get things back in order. But I like him. But to me, they have to look for another quarterback, too.
Agreed.
And those would be the guys that I would be looking at if it were me.
All right, that's good, Angel, right there. You know, it's really interesting that he mentioned Dorian Thompson Robinson. How about Jameis Winston? Because the fact that he didn't mention that tells me that probably Cleveland has no intention of trading Jameis Winston because I don't think they are 100% committed to what Deshaun Watson is going to be, which so far has been average at best, if not below average. I'd probably say a little bit below average. So, I mean, if I'm Miami, that's the first person I'm asking for is Jameis Winston.
Yep.
And Cleveland could say, forget it, unless, you give us a second-round pick or something like that. But the other two are intriguing. Russell Wilson with Pittsburgh. And, man, that's what it's come down to. Zach Wilson. Of course, Zach Wilson would be fit with some weapons finally with the Miami Dolphin team. But that would be really interesting if the Denver Broncos gave him up as well. I guess I wouldn't be totally shocked, but I agree with that. I mean, you got to ask around here. You got to ask around. I mean, Boyle's not going to do it. Tyler Huntley coming in. I don't know. And if you're a Miami fan, you're panicking a little bit right now. You got to be panicking a little bit. You got a lot of offense, and then you got Tyreek Hill, who put together Johnny Cochran 2.0 dream team of lawyers, by the way, because he wants to reorganize the Miami-Dade Police Department. He wants all sorts of change to happen. I guess he's hired a fleet of lawyers, Angel, to try and change their ways. I don't know. That sounds very expensive to me.
Sure does.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What about that?
Yeah.
How come why not even call Kansas City and Carson Wentz?
Well, that might be on their list too, but maybe Kansas City does not want to part with Carson Wentz. God forbid something happens to Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, I'm sure they're going to call a lot of teams. They might even call Jacksonville about Mac Jones, as far as I know. I mean, it's a lot, but I agree with those three. I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to part with Russell Wilson.
I don't think he would.
I mean, I think Justin Fields is there to stay as a starter. I thought that from the get-go that he'd get way more. It took Russell Wilson just being banged up. I don't see how you bench Justin Fields anytime soon. I mean, he's been pretty good. The Steelers don't have a great offense. They have a tremendous defense. They're 3-0. But we'll see. No, I'm just going to put stuff online. All right, quick break. When we get back, first hour's in the books already. As I said, next hour at 8:15, Red Sox report coming up, and an MLB rundown. We'll talk about the Phillies winning the division in the NL East. Jay Flannelly from Ann Arbor at 8:30. Mia O'Brien, 9:30 this morning as well, right here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson and windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our 2nd location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Don't miss the return of the legend, former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas. Tim will be at Sports World on Saturday, October 5th from noon until 2 p.m. Tim will be signing and taking photos. Prices vary, so don't miss this awesome event. Saturday, October 5th at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
The 2-2. Swing and a fly ball. Right center field. Castellanos going back. On the edge of the track. Makes the catch. The ball game is over. For the first time in 13 years, the Phillies will celebrate as National League East champions. It's their 12th divisional crown. And they'll mob each other on the mound one more time.
As Eddie Murphy said in Trading Places, what a happy day. What a happy day. That was also in Philadelphia, by the way, if you don't remember. Angel Martinez, even a hint, a residue of a smile. Phillies win. First NL East pennant since 2011. That's 13 years ago. Yay! And very good chance you could end up with the number one overall seed. Number one overall seed for the National League postseason. So congratulations to the Phillies, as much as it pains me to say. But anyway.
Good friend, late broadcaster Harry Kellis would be extremely proud.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Meanwhile, the late broadcaster Harry Carey for the Cubs would not be very proud as Cubs lose. But congratulations there to the Phillies. And why not? Let's play some highlights from them, shall we? Why not? They beat the Cubs yesterday 6-2. Let's see. JT Realmuto in the second inning.
JT hits one out to center field. That's pretty well hit. Pete Armstrong's going back. It is gone into the bushes. A two-run home run for JT. And the Phillies strike first here in the second. It's a 2-0 ball game.
Yes, thanks to the Philadelphia, NBC Sports Philadelphia right there. And then Kyle Schwarber got into the act in the third.
Stands kind of sideways.
Fly ball, right center field. Pretty well hit. Armstrong going back. It is gone! Solo home run, Kyle Schwarber. 37th of the year. He has reached 100 RBIs. 3-0 Phils.
You talk about a guy that's had
NBC Sports Philadelphia with the call there, and then you factor in Aaron Nola, who's been pitching brilliantly the last few starts, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he finishes with 7 strikeouts in the game as well for the Phillies. Outstanding, 6 innings, 7 Ks, 2 earned runs, walked 2, again struck out 7, and he gets the win, proves to 13-8, 3.52 ERA. Phillies win 6-2. They win their first NL East title since 2011. So the third time the Phillies have reached the postseason, 3 years in a row, by the way, Angel, from 76 to 78, and from 07 to 11. Philadelphia's only World Series championships came, as we know, in 1980 with Michael Jack Schmidt, and then 2008. It's not that long ago, Angel.
No, not at all. And the good thing is, I mean, well, good and bad. It's funny how baseball, just like football, like the playoffs, what is it with playoffs? Like there's a whole different atmosphere. You could be the hottest team going into it. I think the only ones that I can remember or recall is like the NHL. Like if you're hot going in, there's a good percentage that you end up winning the Stanley Cup.
No. Bruins had the most incredible record in the history of the NHL in the regular season 2 years ago. Got bounced in the first round by Florida. Occasionally it happens, Angel, but most times not in the NHL. The President's Cup trophy winner does not win a Stanley Cup, especially lately. So I would respectfully disagree. But I will tell you this, to your point about Aaron Nola. This guy has been lights out. He has started 7 games in which the Phillies could either clinch a postseason berth, clinch a postseason series, or clinch a division title. He has a 1.62 ERA with 46 Ks against 7 walks in those outings. That is how you win a World Series, Angel. When you have a guy like that, doesn't necessarily have to be a 20-game winner, but what he has done in the postseason, he's going to be your ace. There could be a tough out there, my man. Could be a tough out. I know you want to play the Mets so badly, don't you?
Oh, I'm dying to play the Mets. Surely I am. Surely not. No, what I'm saying is, when it comes to the playoffs, completely different. But if you go back a little bit further,
MLB, you're right. MLB, you're right. We've seen the Yankees have a great record and bounced in the first round. We've seen the Seattle Mariners have a great record, bounced in the first round. So it's more often the Dodgers last year or the year before, or the last 2 years. They have had great records and been bounced early. So to your point, yes. In baseball, yes. No question.
But the reason why I bring up as far as for the NHL, because let's not forget about the what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, you have St. Louis, that obviously was a worse NHL team going into December. Come January, flipped it around and ended up winning the Stanley Cup that year. So
beat my Bruins, absolutely. So yes, yeah. Well, that's a big difference than winning the President's Trophy. But they were playing some really good hockey. Look, we've seen the Tampa Bay Lightning. They finished the President's Trophy, got bounced in the first round by Columbus a few years ago. But yeah, the team that does not win the President's Trophy, you're right, but playing very well down the stretch in the NHL, usually has a great shot to win the Stanley Cup, regardless of where the record is, because we've seen too many times 8s beat 1 seeds in the NHL. It happens, not every time, but it happens a lot, more than most people would think. But to your Philadelphia Phillies, Angie, you got a true ace in the postseason, I think, in a guy like Aaron Nola. The Phillies have a great chance to clinch home field throughout the postseason. You got to feel good about that, don't you?
Oh, no, I definitely do. Listen, I kid around a lot, and I just hope because the Ranger Suarez, I just hope he gets better. They stay focused. Now some of these guys can kind of take a break for a couple of days before the postseason starts, which will be a good thing for the Phillies so they can regroup and get ready for the playoffs. But listen, I'm feeling pretty good about the Phils. I'm hoping that at least we can make it to the National League Championship. I mean, then they could get that first game bye, which is odd in baseball, but I'm just hoping they can do so. I know the Dodgers are going to be tough. I know we've had their number during the regular season.
Yeah, everybody's tough. The Padres are going to be, and it doesn't matter. Once you get in the tournament, everybody is going to be tough. We saw what Arizona did last year. Just get in the tournament. But I think you guys have a real good ace, good manager. You got a good team. You've been basically had the best record in baseball from start to finish, most of the season anyway. Dodgers have been there a little bit, but there's reason to feel a lot of optimism.
There is. Have you heard that? I love when we beat the freaking Padres in a postseason because you have those 4 or 5 guys. I think they're all dads, maybe one single guy. It was like something about the Browns will make you go down, and that it's some weird, goofy, freaking rhyme nonsense. Have you ever heard it?
Some Padres song? No, but I'm going to try to get Don Orsillo on, who did play-by-play for the Red Sox on NESN for years, and now he's been with the Padres for, I think, the last 5 years. He's great. Good friend of mine, and we'll try to get him on. Maybe he can dissect. I'm not sure of we all remember the San Diego Superchargers song back in the day. San Diego Superchargers. Remind me of Verb. That song, Verb, on Multiplication Rock, remember on ABC? Like conjunction, junction, what's that function? That kind of thing. And then remember, I see action in my life. Verb.
Hold on for a second. Let me get this for you.
Yeah, I know they have a dopey song. I know Jay is coming up, and I know this. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
Oh, it's so friggin' stupid. I'm glad when they did it towards the Phillies, and the Phillies ended up taking them out the friggin' postseason. It's so freaking cringeworthy. Sorry, folks. You guys are going to dislike us here for about 28 seconds.
No, you're not going to dislike. This is entertaining. I want people to hear it. It's great.
Come on. switch my screen here. So freaking, oh my God, I can't stand this. And every year these dopes do it. And they get,
now I remember.
Billy going down to yellow and brown. That's what's in. Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose, and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in. Give Philly no slack and send them back. That's what's in.
I'm gonna say a little prayer against everybody. I would arrest them for loitering.
So would I. I'm telling you, it was hard. I absolutely loved that we had shut them down. Oh, it was fantastic because then they had the clowns again on some San Diego news shows. Like, so how did that rap work out for you guys? And the guy really didn't want to say much. I'm like, come on, man, that is so bad.
How viral did that get? How viral did that get? It probably ended up on some talk show, and that is just awful.
I did, and that's
one of the worst songs ever. And you've played it before. Was when 1985, when the Chicago Bears were cool and they'd had the Super Bowl shuffle and all that stuff. And then the Patriots came up with something very similar to what we just saw. New England, the Patriots, and me. Bob LaBelle was part of it. He regrets it. So does John Dennis and Mike Lynch, three of the best sportscasters in Boston at the time on TV, plus the mayor of Boston, Mayor Flynn. It is the worst. Actually, if you want to punch that up, Angel, we could do a compare and contrast. We won't play the whole Patriot thing, but in case you missed it, this is the worst sports team video ever made. And I almost have to say it's worse than what you just saw. It's called New England, the Patriots, and Me. And because the Bears had the Super Bowl shuffle, and I remember MTV playing it back to me. The Super Bowl shuffle was in rotation, like many of the other great 80s videos were back in the day, especially 1985. A lot of Michael Jackson stuff, a lot of Duran Duran, that kind of stuff. Some cool music back then. But then the Patriots had to come up with this fucking awful Super Bowl video, thinking they were going to compete with the Bears. We did have a 3-0 lead in that game, by the way. Should have been 7-0, but Stanley Morgan dropped the ball. Might have changed the whole dynamic of the game. But this is just awful. Tell me this is not the war. I know some of you might have seen this before, but for sports videos, at least the Padres, at least that's a short little rappy, stupid thing. This was. We're not going to play the whole thing because I'll vomit. But just listen to this. New England, the Patriots, and Me from '85. This was on freaking MTV.
Yep.
Next one. Here is the New England Patriots with New England Patriots Are We?
Oh, God. Are we?
Keep throwing. Take one.
And look how goofy people singing it look. I could have produced it from my house. Oh my God.
Then they beat those Miami pretenders. And the jinx was gone. Still on the dollars around them. They can go that far. Just let us stay for the rest.
Yeah, grab that ear, honey, like this. Right, Holloway, loved him. Oh my God! Can you believe it? This is not an alien invasion. These are actually people singing this. No, keep it going.
Hold on, let me switch because this one here for some reason is coming in a little bit lower. So let me go back to let me go back to the original one.
V66 has just brought you one of your last chances to see Chicago before New England buries the Bears.
Tapes rolling. Take one.
Oh my God!
They beat the Jets and became contenders. And we cheered them on. Then they beat those Miami pretenders. And the jinx was gone. Still on the dollars around them. Said,
Super Bowl Sunday. It was like every hour and a half they were playing this.
Now it's the Bears, the big wind from Chicago. The Super Bowl awaits. They may be monsters out on the midway.
And after this, the fans and the mayor and sports people start to get involved. Here we go.
The Super Bowl can't be won, but the Bears are gonna get buried. New England is gonna be number one. New England, the Patriots and me.
I blame the song for why they got the
New England, the Patriots and me. Rolling on to victory. New England, the Patriots and we. We'll strip them bare, just wait and see. New England, the Patriots and we.
The biggest news in the whole country.
New England, the Patriots and we.
We'll hang the band from the Liberty Tree.
The Liberty Tree?
The Patriots and we.
Liberty Tree,
Thanks
is
for the oranges.
No.
Mayor Bradley.
Oh, God.
New England, the Patriots and we.
They're the champs of the AFC.
Okay, I can't do it. All right, if you can, Angel. All right, you got that. And then play the Padre thing one last time, and let's see if we can get a consensus on which is. Jay says the Pats video is not that. Jay, I won't. Your show appearance has been canceled today. No, it is. Of course, that Patriots video is not that bad. It's the. I hope you're being facetious. I'm just kidding about canceling you, but I just no. That is the worst fucking piece of somewhat entertainment ever on MTV, ever. Worst. So here now, compare that to this. At least this is short.
Philly going down to yellow and brown. That's what's in. Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in. Give Philly no slack and send them back. That's what's in.
Sure.
Oh my God. It is. I'd say it's a tie only because it's shorter. If it was a longer version, it might be worse than. No, it wouldn't be. No. New England, the Patriots, and we. Just that's the dumbest video I've made. And that right there by the Padres. I mean, they talk about Goose. They talk about Goose Gossage, who had a cup of coffee with them and helped them win the pennant in '84 before they lost to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
The mighty Detroit Tigers in '84. I mean, Goose made his name, with the Yankees back in the day, one of the greatest relief pitchers of all time, one of the most intimidating pitchers of all time. The only one. A couple times people got George Brett hit a mammoth home run off of him one time in the playoffs. I think it was either 78 or 80. Just an absolute tomahawk explosion. But other than that, Goose usually got the best of everybody. He was him and Lee Smith back in the day were just awesome. Kent Tacoli for the Pirates. Tug McGraw for your Philadelphia Phillies. Tug had a presence about him, but he didn't have the presence like Gossage had for the Yankees. Didn't have the presence like Lee Smith had for many years with the Cubs, and then afterwards with the Red Sox as well. Kent Tacoli was a great reliever for the Pirates. I mean, there have been some really good closers, but there's been like when Goose Gossage came to the mound in his prime with the Yankees, you were like, Jesus, this is not going to be good. Usually it wasn't for the opposing team. All right. Okay, time now before we go to break. What do people... BRB felt something come up in my throat after that video. Yeah, me too. New England are new kids on the block. New kids on the block were barely born at that. Were they even born yet? I don't think they were even born yet when that happened in 1985. No, I don't think so. If they did, they were babies. So no. No. All right, Red Sox Report is brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and in Plastow, New Hampshire. Red Sox in Toronto went at it last night in Toronto, and the Sox got it going in the third.
Abreu walked and scored the run. Going after the first one, a base hit. Down the line, here comes Casas. He is in to score. O'Neill down to third. Into second, standing up Abreu, and they make him pay for another walk. And the Sox take a 2-0 lead. Williard hit.
And they added to that lead thanks to David Bryant with a call on Nesson. Red Sox added to the lead in the top of the fourth.
Because of it. With one away, runner at third. And a trickler. Here comes the run. Bassett will go to first as the run scores. Cedon made it fairly close over there. The Red Sox grab a third run. So 3-0.
Yeah, so Danny Raphaela's RBI forced out at the top of the eighth inning, made it 4-0 Red Sox, and they would go on to win 4-1. Spencer Horwitz had an RBI single in the bottom of the ninth to avoid the shutout. Tanner Houck pitched really well last night for the Red Sox. He went 5 innings and gave up one hit, only one hit, no earned runs, obviously, and a walk, and getting the win. He's 9-10 on the year with a 3.12 ERA. Meanwhile, up next for the Red Sox, Braden Bale will go 14-8, 4.49 ERA in the second game of the 3-game series tonight. He'll be opposed by Bowden Francis, who is 8-5 with a 3.47 ERA. He's scheduled to start Tuesday against the Red Sox as well up at the Rogers Center. All right, the Red Sox Report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and in Plastow, New Hampshire. Elsewhere around Major League Baseball yesterday, a light night, as we told you, not the 76ers, but the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Cubs 6-2. They win their first NL East title since 2011. Seattle over Houston 6-1. San Fran over Arizona by a score of 6-3. And there you have it. That's your light night in Major League Baseball. Quick break here on the Pete Sheppard Show. Coming up next, Jay Flannery will join me live from Ann Arbor. We'll talk some college football, Michigan, USC, and a whole bunch of other stuff as the Pete Sheppard Show continues here on a Tuesday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastow, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Don't miss the return of the legend, former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas. Tim will be at Sports World on Saturday, October 5th from noon until 2 p.m. Tim will be signing and taking photos. Prices vary, so don't miss this awesome event. Saturday, October 5th at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For the best in college football and NFL talk, check out The Pete Sheppard Show, 7 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Hamilton looking off to left, rolling that way, and floats it for a touchdown. Ty Johnson joins the party. 5 first-half scores by 5 different Bills. It's an avalanche.
An avalanche. Holy crap. Unbelievable. Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely nowhere to be found. They stink. There's no getting around that. Just unbelievable. We'll see if they can turn it around short week, and then they hit the road to Houston where both teams coming off humiliating losses. Anyway, welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Tuesday, September 24th. And let's head up to Ann Arbor for a weekly visit with Jay Flannery joining us here on the Pete Sheppard Show. Jay, how are you? Nice win by your Wolverines. I wasn't sure it would be that convincing, but as it was, I think, overall. But anyway, last night, what a debacle by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Every game, they've got worse and worse and worse. And Doug Peterson will be on the hot seat this coming Sunday in Houston, going up against a pissed off Texans team. It's going to be really, really interesting, my friend. How you doing? How was your weekend?
Everything was great. We're all doing better than Doug Peterson. So that's what a performance. I don't
There's
even.
no
There's
response there. There's no response by that team at all. I don't know what kind of coaching is going on. And I mean, it looks Urban Meyer-esque from 2021.
Yeah, they need to make a change. The way this works, and Pete, you and I have been around this and seen it. You either change the quarterback or the head coach, and the quarterback just signed an extension.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
No, and I like Trevor.
I
Part
do
of the
too.
problem is their O-line is bad. And if you saw last night, Buffalo was killing him the whole game.
Mitch Morris, the oldest guy on the team, the guy they picked up in free agency. I think he's 32
Center.
years old. He was the best guy out there.
The center.
Yeah, he's the best guy out there.
Well, I mean, they got
the offensive
Walker,
line- I mean, the
Walker
offensive
Little, Walker Little, Cam Robinson, and it's a lot of. And listen, to bring Detroit into it, you think they'd like to have Aiden Hutchinson?
Oh, of course. I mean, of course. But
There's a whole bunch of stuff with that story because Balky's the GM there, and he and Harbaugh hated each other. They worked for the 49ers together.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wondering if Jim either told him that Aiden is, the second coming to Cheech and Chong or something, or he was out partying or something, just so he wouldn't draft him. And he went to – I mean, if you remember when the Lions got the second pick, they literally ran up to the stage to take Aiden. They never in a million years – they thought they were going to be picking between Thibodeau and Aiden, and the Jaguars screwed this up. And obviously the Giants like Thibodeau too. So
Thibodeau dropped right further than people thought.
Well, there was a lot of rumors with him, like Warren Sapp and other guys. So, but no, and he's not for everybody. Like the kid, the Eagles, Jalen Carter, same type of thing, where his film isn't great. There's plays he doesn't play hard.
Remember when Will Fork fell to the Patriots? That was ridiculous. And there was some that bullshit came out. Whatever it was, I was ecstatic when they got Will Fork. I couldn't believe it. What was it, 16 or 18? I forget what it was. But I couldn't believe he fell when New England grabbed him back in the day.
Wasn't there something with the physical too, like his knee or something? There was another.
He was a big man, still is.
Yeah.
But when he fell, I thought that was an ultimate steal when they got him.
So, just so you know this, I'm glad you brought Vince up. Pete, to me, he's the second best player on the Patriots during the Brady Belichick era for his career. I thought, everybody knows about Gronk, and Randy Moss was there for only a little time. Ty Law, Nate Solder, Matt Light. They had a million great players. Rodney Harrison, Corey Dillon. But if you watch the Patriots consistently, Vince Wilfork, he's there like almost 10 years.
Yeah.
He was amazing, and nobody ran on us ever.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I love Vince, and of course
and
Bianca
Seymour was good too, but Vince was
show.
a better player. Vince was a better player than Seymour was.
Yep, and but Seymour was very good, and I remember when they took him and guys like fucking Ron Borges and others. They should have taken David Terrell out of Michigan. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, how much Georgia football have you watched, Ron? Not a lot. I mean, Seymour was a beast at Georgia, and
imagine if they didn't do that. Imagine if they didn't do that pick. If they took David Terrell instead.
Oh man, I know it was a Michigan guy.
Where did he go to school, by the way? Where did David go to school? I'm kidding.
Michigan. Yeah.
He was one of two. He caught three touchdowns in Tommy's last game at Michigan in the Orange Bowl.
That's right. Yeah, that's why his stock rose so much.
No, he was a good.
No, he was a good player.
He was a good player. He just. Yeah. I don't like taking wide receivers in that high usually, unless you're Randy Moss. There's a couple of guys.
Yeah.
These three guys. I mean, you saw the three rookie receivers all had big games this weekend. Adunze, Marvin, and the kid on the Giants. Neighbors.
All
Neighbors, three of them had big games, and they're all going to be good.
I was so disgusted in the Browns. I mean, the Giants do the Giants thing. They fumble the opening kickoff. The next 2 plays later, Cleveland's in the end zone touchdown. And they should have They just took the foot off the gas pedal. Deshaun Watson to me is a joke, and I know Miami's talking about getting quarterbacks and everything else. The first person I'd go after is if they could get him is Jameis Winston, but that's a whole other discussion we'll have. We'll get to that. We'll get to all of that. Let's get back to what happened in
I don't know if the Browns want to move off of Jameis Winston because Deshaun's not. Deshaun's not good, and he looks like he's going to get hurt again.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who Adam Schefter brought up yesterday, is probably the guy. If they're going to move off to somebody, it's going to be him. I'm saying if I'm Miami,
why not Ryan Tannehill, Pete? Why not Ryan Tannehill?
Anybody's better than what they have now. They're in big trouble. Miami's in big.
Well,
big
who are
trouble.
they? By the way, why did they get rid of Mike White?
Good
Can somebody
question.
explain that to me?
A good question.
I mean, Mike White is a good backup.
Yep.
And he doesn't make any money either, Pete.
Yeah, I know. It's a good question.
I mean,
Now
Tommy DeVito.
They're talking about Zach Wilson. They're talking about talking to Denver about Zach Wilson and Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh.
Please do that. Please. Can I get Zach Wilson playing with that O-line?
I know that with that O-line. However, it would be interesting to see him play with some weapons, though. Some weapons. He'd still be running for his life, but at least he'd have some weapons.
Horrible,
at least he'd have some weapons on his team. But yeah, Miami is in big trouble.
They would be arresting Tyreek Hill going to the game because they'd be screaming and hollering about having Zach Wilson as his quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
Zach Wilson.
That's my quarterback. But that's what it comes. Oh, Tim Boyle. I mean, I don't know what kind of shape Tannehill's in or whatever. I'm sure he's kept himself in shape, knowing that these situations come up all the time. I don't know, but Boyle ain't going to cut it. Tyler Huntley's not going to cut it either. Yeah.
No, Ryan Tannehill can actually take a hit and not potentially be dying like Tua is right now. So that's the whole reality. And look at. Go find, a Malik Willis. Justin Fields is out there. Everybody told me he was garbage and he couldn't play. The Steelers apparently think he's pretty good. Hey, you know what? Call the Steelers about Russell Wilson.
That's what I said. They are going. They will do that. I think they have to. I think they have to do that.
I mean, they cannot tank this season with the players they have on the Dolphins.
No, and I don't think they're going to try to tank the season. But
you know what? Another one, Pete. We saw him last night. Mac Jones, maybe? He looked terrible.
I mean, the third snap, he fumbles the ball, gets sacked and everything else. I mean, it's just – but, look, I think if you're the Miami Dolphins, anybody's better than Huntley and Boyle. I mean, you can't go with that. Skylar Thompson's out. I mean, he got wrecked.
Well, he got hurt bad in the game.
Yeah.
Skylar did. He got hurt.
8 sacks, right? 7 or 8, whatever it was. He got pummeled.
I thought it was 800 when I was watching the game. Every time I saw it, I saw Miami guy on the ground.
I had Seattle minus 4.5, so I was happy. But anyway.
So go back to Michigan.
Let's go back to Michigan. So a nice Alex Orji, only 12 passes. I know we expected them last week. We talked about them running the ball a lot. But I thought that Orji would have to throw more than 12 passes. But when Mullings is running for 20 yards a carry, it seemed. 159 yards on 17 carries, and Edwards as well. And Orji did his job, 2 scrambling with 43 yards. I mean, did you think there would be only 12 passes by Orji in that game?
I thought there would be about 15 to 20. Now, we didn't know the status of Loveland Colston, our All-American tight end.
Yep.
So, and he was out last-minute thing. He's got a shoulder. I'm not supposed to tell you that, though. Him being out impacted things. And hey, Pete, like you just said, if you can run the ball in a team, and you and I talked about this last week, USC is a soft, unphysical team that we can push around and play man ball against. And, Kathy, my business partner, joked about they take Pilates as like a conditioning thing at USC. But
they did run the ball. I mean, that guy, what's his name, ran the ball for 100 yards, right? Marks ran the ball for 100 yards.
Yeah, but that was a lot of spread running game stuff where we're defending the pass, and they hit some runs. We're giving them that. I thought our defense played great.
I thought when SC took the lead at 24-20, that Michigan was done. I really did. I thought USC was going to close them out, but to Michigan,
heart of a champion, baby, heart of a champion.
Yeah, they played like it. They absolutely played like it. I think a pretty good.
It was just
Miller Moss for his first hostile environment. Miller Moss for his first real hostile environment. I told
you that first road game.
Yeah,
first road game.
Yep. In that environment, I thought he handled himself overall pretty well.
No, he's a good player. But I mean, the other thing is our defensive front killed their O line. I mean, Mason Graham and friends, and Josiah Stewart, Big Ten defensive end of the week. We're edge U, Michigan. You know, with Aiden Hutchinson, Rashard Gary, and Chase Winovich, and Josh Uche, and all these different guys, and Najabu, all these different guys. We just put feet out that guys in the NFL. And, Josiah was awesome in this game. I mean, the first play of the game, it's on Twitter. He just threw the left tackle at the quarterback. I mean, and when you set the edge, I mean, you and I grew up watching Andre Tippett and Don Blackman, and the New York Giants had Carl Banks and that Lawrence Taylor guy who was okay. So when you have those type of guys, you just control the game. And when you can't run wide, just ask the Atlanta Falcons on 4th and 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. When you can't run wide, you're dead because they can defend the inside. And, it's a big part of what we did. It was a season-changing win. If they lost this game, they'd probably lose 4 to 5 games. We have a really tough schedule. Even teams like Indiana and Illinois have good quarterbacks and good teams now. We got to go to Oregon. We got to go. I mean, we're playing Oregon here. We're going to Washington.
You got Minnesota this weekend, right? This Saturday.
It's Parents Weekend here, Saturday at noon on Fox. And then, Aiden Childs is going to come here and play against us from Michigan State and throw 5 interceptions. So, that's like he did against BC the other night. But
that was a great win by Boston College. Great atmosphere. I wish the weather was better, for the pregame stuff. The ACC network was there. I wish it was a better atmosphere. It was pouring rain all day. But kudos to BC and Bill O'Brien. And then they're going to be a tough out the rest of the way. They are really going to be a tough out. They should have beaten Missouri. Missouri struggled last week again with Vanderbilt. But this Boston College team, they're going to be tough to beat. They really are.
Remember I tell you this, Pete. Look at the rest of their schedule. Remember I tell you this right now. BC is going to be a playoff team.
Well, if they're a playoff,
it's going to be you and Miami. I mean, BC and Miami will be the 2 ACC teams. Watch.
The way they're playing, that would not shock me. I know Clemson rebounded a little. That NC State team. Talk about, and I said at the beginning of the season before you and I started talking, how fucking hyped they were. I did not understand it. I really didn't understand why they were getting all this pub, and no one was talking enough about the Hurricanes and Cam Ward and everything else. They were kind of like an afterthought.
People out here, Pete, don't know how good Cam Ward is.
Yeah, the other team you might have to watch out for is Pittsburgh. They're off to
with Narduzzi.
Narduzzi. I know, but they're off to a good start as well.
But Castellanos is the ideal college quarterback. Michigan had him. Holy Christ! But and I love Orgy, but they're different guys.
How far can Orgy take this team? How far can Orgy take this team? But I mean, the numbers are very similar from this past game against USC. There's going to be times where, like J.J. McCarthy, he's going to have to carry them with his arm at some point. Sure. They're not going to be able to do this like they did last year. They might get away with it next week against Minnesota, but like you said,
the other Iowa ran on them. Yep. Iowa
ran up and down you're talking about, he's going to have to keep them competitive with his arm at some point, don't you think?
Okay, a couple things. I think he's a better thrower than people think. And, I mean, on a couple of the balls, if things are off. And let's be perfectly honest with you. Michigan isn't exactly the 84 BYU Cougars. This goes back to when Harbaugh was here. Yeah. And when Cade was playing in the last 3 years with all the great success we had. We could throw the ball a little, but that's not what we did. So I think what's going to happen here is if you're going to beat us, you have to block our defense and stop our run. There are very few teams on our schedule that can do that. I mean, if you watched our game, the USC game, Pete, we injured half their team. We injured half their team. They were all being carted off and carried off. So that means Oregon, with their Nike money and their recruiting, and then the 3-time losers to the Celtics.
By the way, real quick, have you seen Nike's stock the last couple of weeks? They are down huge.
Why? Is there a reason?
Nobody's buying them. They're down huge dollars the last couple of weeks.
Well, aren't they big with the WNBA, and the WNBA's blowing up?
I don't know what the deal is. I saw the local news. I saw a thing on the local news or the national news down here, and they were talking about Nike, and they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Okay, but Pete, is it like
Anyway.
Under Armour and Adidas and everybody else in trouble?
There's
Just Nike?
more money out there. One company
Okay.
goes down, another one takes over. So yeah, I'm not. It's
Yeah.
the money's
like New
there.
Balance. New Balance is
Yeah.
where you and I are from, and Reebok.
Yeah, I worked in the building. We used to get free sneakers, a couple pairs every single year. That was the best part about living in that building. The
And
flagship.
you used to, the Stockyard.
Well, the across the street, the Stockyard. Dan Duquette's favorite hangout, and a few other people. That
I went in there for a couple pops back in the day, but it never happened. You never heard that there. What I just said. But no, I think I don't think there's a great team this year in college football. And, you look at Texas, they've kind of created their own problem with Ewers getting hurt because I don't think Arch is going to give up that job. I think Arch is too good. Arch is a better player than Ewers.
Oh, I don't know. The Arch last week, he had a couple of interceptions. And look, from what I understand, Ewers is getting that job back immediately. I think Arch has a ton of talent. I give him credit for staying there. I think as soon as Ewers is ready to come back, though, Jay, I think he goes right back in. It's not that Arch can't do it, but Arch last week.
I wonder if he'll go to the portal.
I don't know. I would have gone already. I give him a lot of credit for hanging around, don't you?
Well, Ewers is going to graduate, too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I think Arch is going to be a terrific quarterback, but I think when Ewers comes back, I don't know about not being a great team. There's a lot. There's a lot of very good.
We'll know a lot about Georgia and Alabama this week, obviously.
Yeah, and that should be one hell of a game.
The Buckeyes have a scrimmage against the Sparties, so that's going to be.
Well, you never know. You never know.
I know, Pete. I know, Pete. Trust me,
you
I
never
know.
Kentucky,
I know.
Had Georgia beat. So then everybody see, the problem is everybody goes off that game and they look at if Kentucky can hold Georgia to that.
Kentucky's been good. Coach Stoops has done a good job there.
Kentucky always played Georgia tough, especially in Lexington. They always do. It doesn't mean Georgia's not going to go in Alabama and win. Although I think that game is going to be a classic Saturday night. I really believe that Alabama hosting Georgia. That is going to be an absolute classic.
Who do you like in that game? I know it's early. You're probably going to do picks later in the week. Who do you like?
Right now, I'm leaning towards Alabama. I'm leaning towards Alabama. But we're talking about 6-5 and pick 'em here. I think it's going to be one hell. I just think overall Alabama has looked better top to bottom at times than Georgia, and by the slimmest of margins. I'm not just saying that because of the 13-12 beat that they had over Kentucky. I don't know. In Tuscaloosa, this is going to be tough, and they've had a hard, and I know, and DeBoer's there, and. Donald Trump is going to be there. The only thing that's going to really suck over there, and I think Feinbaum brought it up yesterday, or some other people, is are the security people going to stop everybody? How long it's going to take to get into that stadium on Saturday? You better get there freaking early because Trump's going to be there, and there's going to be security up there.
Well, he's been shot at twice, so there's kind of good reason for that.
I would say that about any politician. It could be Biden or Kamala. It doesn't matter. Anytime a politician running for president shows up at a stadium, it's a pain in the ass for the average person to get in. I suggest everybody get there 5 hours before. I'm being serious.
No, it's crazy.
It's like a Super Bowl game. Going to Super Bowls, you have to get there 5 hours early for media.
Pete, how many Super Bowls during the Patriots run? I know you used to go to Radio Row, but how many of the Super Bowls did you actually go to the game?
Out of 7, I'd say 4. The rest of them, I went back to the hotel because I had to do the post-game show afterwards, and I didn't want to be, But the actual games, I was there for.
Which ones did you go to? Which ones did you go to?
Nipplegate. I told this story before. The funniest thing at Nipplegate in Houston when the Patriots beat Carolina was, most of the media is up in section 300. And I mean, everybody nationally, most of it, you have to be nationally or an absolute beat writer to get in to the main press box.
It's not fun for the media, Pete, as you're saying. No, it's not.
No, I didn't mind it. 95% of the media is up in the 300 section. So, and not every row has a TV. It was like every other row, every seat had a TV. And accommodations were fine. But who was sitting next to me right over here in Houston was the one and only Andy Rooney at the time from 60 Minutes. And, so many people who don't cover games are there nationally. So he was there, and curmudgeon as he was and all that. He sits down. Now, when Nipplegate happened, I'm not looking at the TV. I'm where this hand is, and Nipplegate is happening way on the other, across diagonally. So I'm not paying attention. I'm not big into halftime shows. Only in 2001 I was.
Bathroom break for me.
And all of a sudden I hear Andy Rooney say, when Nipplegate happens, he goes, "Oh, well, that's going to be interesting." And we're like, what the hell happened? And then I forget who was sitting next to him, goes, "Oh my God, he just pulled down the Janet Jackson's shorter boob." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I said, maybe won't that be a bigger deal? And then it ends up being bigger than the game.
I know. And the game was a great game.
What a great game. But Andy Rooney, I'll never say, it's clear as day. I can still hear him. Wow, that was interesting.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, the guy's a living legend from 60 Minutes.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
He was funny as hell, political satire type of stuff. That was great.
Yeah.
And that game, that was one of the more underrated. I mean, the Belichick Brady teams had so many great games. But I knew Tommy was going to be really, really good that game. Yeah. And thank you, John Cassay.
Kicking the ball out of bounds.
That's like an unforgivable mistake.
That was, as soon as that happened, it's like they're done. It's automatic. It's absolutely automatic. I give Jason
mentally, Tommy knows what he needs to help Adam.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier because he knows, okay, if I get like Adam 30 yards, we'll be fine. He hit Dion and Daniel Graham and Givens and a couple of the other guys. That was a really great game. And we were talking last week about the Panthers. Dan Morgan, the star middle linebacker, and Chris Jenkins' dad from Michigan and now the Bengals was the star D lineman for the Panthers with Julius Peppers. That was a really, really good Carolina team.
It really was, and probably
very underrated.
If anybody else but the Patriots they were playing, they probably would have won that game. And remember, Adam had there was a missed field goal, a block field in that game early. It was
remember, Pete,
then they turned on the sets.
Houston was kind of his house of horrors.
Yes,
he had problems there. Every guy has this where there are certain stadiums, like Patriots house of horrors is Denver and Miami.
Yep,
and they just he just didn't have good success. So I think the footing was bad, and it was part of what was going on in the game. But no, it was an unbelievable win. Second of 6 with the Patriots and second of 7 overall.
Yep. Let's talk a little NFL, and I'll tell you, I know the Bengals are 0-3. They're
in trouble.
They're in trouble, no question about it. But they're in trouble.
Defensive coordinator got taken to the shed last night, which is amazing because the Amaro is awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you can make a case, what's going on in Jacksonville, because you can make a case that Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator there, the first 2 games is the only reason why Jacksonville was in the first 2 games, because the offense stuck up the joint, but Nielsen's defense and that kept him in. Last night, they might as well have been a sequel to The Walking Dead on Netflix.
By the way,
it was pathetic. It was pathetic in the lack of response, the lack of adjustments. And Doug Peterson it's too much coach talk. It's too much. We got to coach better. We got to play better. You got to look in the mirror. All that nonsense that means absolutely nothing. Trevor Lawrence has lost 8 in a row. 8 in a row.
Is that true?
Yes, dating back to last year, he's lost 8 in a row.
I'll say this. Josh Allen sure misses Stephon Diggs.
Well, he only threw to 9 receivers and 4 touchdown passes in the first half. But it was, and I'm not taking anything away from Buffalo because they just manhandled Jacksonville. But God, the Jaguars just looked pathetic. They only had to 70 yards and 5 first downs in the first half.
Okay, so let's do the Jaguars first. I think they need to fire the coach. They need to fire the coach, and Belichick makes sense there because he wants to go someplace with a quarterback.
But he might be holding out for Dallas. He might be holding out for Dallas, which is another story.
I don't know if you want that job. And by the way, they should trade Micah Parsons to rebuild their team.
What do you think of his comments? And
that's why you should trade. You know what I said about Ayuk? Ayuk with the 49ers. They should have traded Ayuk. And by the way, every time another receiver plays, Jennings the other day, they do good. They didn't have Debo and Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And did Ayuk do anything in the goddamn game? Nothing.
No. But Micah
let's go.
Parsons has got to look in the mirror too. I mean, they
Yes.
can't stop the run. They can't stop the run.
Yes. I mean, you make these people make these Lawrence Taylor comparisons of Micah Parsons, please. Be as good as Derek Thomas, and then you can talk about Lawrence Taylor.
He has his moments. I mean, he's a great player, but they have not played. They've lost 3 horrible games at home, getting back to the Packers smacking them around in the playoffs last year, and then the Saints 2 weeks ago, and then the Baltimore Ravens, which I thought there was no way in hell they were ever going to go 0-3 at all. And I know Dallas made it close at the end, but it really wasn't as close as the final score indicated. And the Cowboys are. They're going to be in trouble, especially if Washington can come on and keep playing like they are. Jaden Daniels was outstanding last night. Burrow, great. I mean, both quarterbacks were very good last night. Both out of LSU.
To go off the Dallas thing,
yeah,
the Giants now look presentable, and they can win this game Thursday night. Because how you beat Dallas is you got to block their defensive front, and the Giants' O-line is better. And I told you this, Pete. I'm like the 1% of America who actually thinks Daniel Jones isn't that bad. And when he has good players around him, like he did, he played good last week. He's played good so far in the season. You look at his numbers, they're pretty good. So when he has a good team around him, he's functional. Is he ever going to be Phil Simms? No. But he's good enough. And their team is not bad. Their defense has a lot of pass rushers.
I'll tell you what,
Brian Burns to go with Thibodeau.
I'll tell you what's Phil Simms last night. Jaden Daniels. 21 out of 23, 91.3%. There was like the Super Bowl, Just insane. 2 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, Burrow was fantastic as well. 324.
The thing with the Bengals is I don't think there's a lot they can do. They could maybe trade T. Higgins or something like that, but their team is their team. Now, they played Kansas City really tight. Last game was close. The inexcusable game was the Patriots game. They were unprofessional. They didn't show up to play, and they got their asses kicked.
Yep.
So
in the trenches, they got their asses kicked. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but I like Coach Taylor. I think he's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
I like their team. I just don't. I don't know how they can fix their team. In the NFL, everyone's like you just said, the guy became Phil Simms. He was 22 for 25, or is actually better than
21 to 23. Yeah, it was 91.3%, better than 8.
And he was throwing downfield balls.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you look at like fantasy impact, McLaren didn't even have 15 fantasy points first 2 weeks. And he went off in this game because Daniels off.
The last touchdown they scored was phenomenal. That was
one of the best throws you'll see all year.
Perfect throw, perfect catch.
And Pete, remember something with Daniels. He's older. He's like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And the other thing, by the way, do you know that Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow?
Oh, yeah. Well, Sam Darnold's another one. And I love it. Belichick yesterday. He's like, Sam Darnold looked terrific. Everybody loves Sam Darnold except the Jets. Oh, I love that.
Well, and by the way, Bill's a big reason why the Jets got rid of him. Remember seeing ghosts?
Yes.
Remember seeing ghosts? I mean, Bill used to destroy the kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sam Darnold is – listen, the Jets the Jets are a halfway house for ruining quarterbacks. I mean, Geno Smith's good on Seattle. Obviously, Sam Darnold. But let's pump the brakes on Sam Darnold. I just it's hard for me to imagine that he's this good. Now, Kevin O'Connell tends to fix guys, and they have a good team. So that's part of it. And Flores helps obviously, and he'll probably get a head coaching job.
I think Flores is a huge, gigantic key. I think Stroud
he's awesome.
Had no idea what was going on last week. He was not good. And,
well, did you see what the 49ers said? The 49ers, what Shanahan and Purdy said, they had no idea what the hell was going on when they played them 2 weeks ago.
I think the Vikings have been the most surprising team in a positive way, not negative way, but in a positive way by far. But Sam Darnold looks so comfortable back there. When you throw 4 touchdowns and no picks, and
it's not all Justin Jefferson, Pete. He's spreading around.
Oh yeah, Jones, Naylor, Powell. I mean, they're all. It's
and remember,
they're going to get 10 guys caught passes last week. I think
they're going to get T.J. Hawkinson back, the tight end, who's awesome.
Yeah,
who tore up his knee at the end of last year.
Yep.
So let me ask you a couple teams. I want your thoughts on them. I mentioned Kathy's 49ers. What do you make of them? And try to use polite language when talking about Kyle Shanahan.
Well, here's the thing. Besides the fights, the hideous fights, which Angel played earlier, that happened in the stand, which
In
is
the
just
stands,
there's
yep.
been more and more of that happening, particularly in that rivalry. Well, first of all, it's
Is
so
part of
fun.
that people have cameras on their phones, and it's always like you and I used to go to the old Foxborough Stadium, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I know, and I wasn't allowed
Oh
till I was
my
16.
God, we
I wasn't
both have
allowed.
stories.
I
We
wasn't
both have
allowed till I
stories,
was
Pete.
16. My dad would not take me to a game back in the day.
It was insane. The
Yeah.
old fights in the old Gillette
Yep.
Schaefer Stadium. It was unbelievable. The
But
old
you look at SoFi, you would have thought the 49ers were playing at Levi. It looked like a 49er home game. There were at least 90%
Isn't that nuts?
49er fans in that stadium. Unbelievable. Well, it's true for all the, when the Raiders go play there, that's all Raider fans usually.
Chargers too.
The Chargers and the Rams cannot draw in that stadium.
And they have a good team.
I quite
So what do you
frankly,
make of the 49ers? What do you make of the 49ers?
I'm talking about that now. I was stunned. They go up 14-0 in the first quarter, and I go, this game, the way banged up. I know both teams are banged up, but I thought Rams were more banged up. And I said, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be like 48-10. This is the way it's going. So I give the Rams a hell of a lot of credit. They got a touchdown in the second quarter, 1-score lead. That is one you circle for the 49ers. That is, I'm not going to say it's inexcusable, but
it is.
You gotta put your foot on the gas. You're up 14-0 against that team, and you had them down and out on the ropes. You could see it. The body language of the Rams after the first quarter. I said they're going to get the shit kicked out of them in this game, and they didn't. So I don't know if you credit the players and McVay, and you want to talk about resiliency and all that stuff, but the 49ers, I think, just kind of handed that game to the Rams. That was an inexcusable loss. May cost them in seeding come playoff time.
Yes.
Sorry, Kathy.
No, lousy special teams, which is a hallmark of Kyle Shanahan's teams. And the Tutu Atwell double pass, and then the number 19 guy with the punt return at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But it was in the Kerryon Williams kid is really good. The Rams back. But the thing that was cool, if you're a Niners fan, you're pissed about the game, and your coach is a dunce. But Purdy is good.
Oh, he's
and
excellent.
He did that with all the nonsense going around. Kittle, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk on a milk carton, which is where they should have traded him to.
He did have one nice catch in the game, though.
Well, hey, he makes $35 million, one ball. Hey, So I mean, and Ronnie Bell had a rough night, and there were other things going on. It's just like they made a mistake, and you should know when to reset your team. And you and I talk about Belichick all the time. One of the things he used to do really well is sell early. And that's what the Cowboys should do, by the way, with Parsons. Trade him.
Well, their biggest thing, you know this. I only got a couple minutes left here, Jay.
Yeah.
Because I have me O'Brien coming on, and she covers the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You might be going to a firing press conference the way things went yesterday.
I think they'll be held off for another week, about another week. But
I love Mia because I'm a closet Jaguars fan. So there you go.
Yeah. But you talk about the Cowboys and Jerry Jones delusional about not going after
King Henry.
How do you not go after him? His bullshit excuses after this. How do you not go after him? You can't run the ball and you can't stop the run. It's just bad management. Bad management on the Cowboys. There's no getting around it.
What is King Henry's contract?
Not great. It's not huge.
Is it even close to Saquon's?
They could have, if he had signed Dak Prescott and what's his name, the wide receiver. Then why am I having a brain cramp? If they had gotten all that, CeeDee Lamb and Prescott signed when he should have got him signed. He probably would have been able to grab Derrick Henry. There is no reason, unless you're a Ravens fan. They should have had him. But they screwed that up. Jerry Jones screwed that up royally.
I'm looking up King Henry's contract right now. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, it's they could have got him. They could have worked it out if they really wanted him. But they get so hung up with the CeeDee Lamb and the Dak Prescott situations that they forgot about they needed a running game too. Ezekiel Elliott was not going to be the one from 10 years ago walking through that door.
Okay, he's got 1 year, 10.2.
Easy peasy. Could have fit that in, no problem.
And let me give you the guarantees and everything, because that's always the part that matters. Okay, His cap hit is $5 million for the year.
It's just bad.
And
It's bad on Jerry
that's
Jones.
just embarrassing.
It
Yeah,
is.
his dead cap is 9. His cap hit's 5. Signing bonus almost $8 million. It's insane. They screwed that up. They screwed that up.
All
So
right, my
listen,
man.
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
talk trash about Angel because I'm Mr. Mets and he's Mr. Phillies. So we prevented them from winning the division in our own stadium, and we got a big series here with Atlanta, but coming up the Mets. But I have a lot of respect for Angels, Phillies, believe it or not. Because Red Sox mistake, Kyle Schwarber and Dave Dombrowski's done a great job there.
Oh, Dave Dombrowski's the big one. They should have never let. I got about 30 seconds here, Jay. But, they should have never, ever, ever let Dombrowski go. But the Red Sox are, I don't know.
No,
what
we
they
got you. So, Pete, I appreciate you bringing me on and everything, and I'll always be on Tuesday. But Angel and I have a special kind of announcement thing going.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
let me know. I don't know anything about it. I kind of suspected something was going on, but go ahead.
Angel, tell him.
Yeah, I was running next door because of the neighbor to make sure he was fine.
You were trying to buy your Phillies NL East championship stuff.
What happened to your neighbor? Something wrong?
You okay?
Yeah, no, he's okay. He's just he shot me a text and I thought something was wrong because his father-in-law moved out. They put him in a home, and so he's getting stuff organized. And from the message that came across the phone, I thought something was wrong with him, but he was telling me something about the trees. So I just want to make sure that he was okay. No, starting next Monday, which is I guess you know what? If we're gonna do this correctly, let me find
it's the
it.
30th.
That'd be the 30th. That would be September 30th.
Yep.
A day that will live in infamy.
Sure will. There you go. Put it that way. So Bee's World will start from 6 to 8 p.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network on Monday and Wednesday. So, of course, Jay from Bee's World will be there from 6 to 8. I'll be producing the show for him Monday and Wednesday. And then Friday mornings, he'll be joining me at 11 o'clock on Martinez and Company. So,
love it.
Yeah. So
awesome, man. Congrats.
An action-packed, fun 2 hours.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk for 2 hours. I'm being funny, but yeah, that's
awesome. That's fantastic.
No, I love you guys and I appreciate you. This has been a great partnership, and we're just starting. And Pete, you were a hero of mine. Not to date us, but we're both old. But it's cool that how this happens. I'd like to thank Al Gore for inventing the internet so we could do this. I'd
like to thank Bobby Valentine for inventing the wrap sandwich. He claims he invented the wrap sandwich. I don't know if people know.
Probably hate Bobby Valentine, right?
Yeah, especially when
I love Bobby Valentine.
And this is the last thing because we got to go because Mia's coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll never forget. Glenn was off one day. We're at Fenway on Wednesdays hosting. I'm with Buck. And I forget who else. And Bobby Valentine doing his weekly visit. I'm in the big chair. They just come back from a 2-7 road trip. He sits down next to me. And first question I asked is, okay, Bobby. And I said, terrible road trip, especially getting swept by the A's to close it out at 2-7. Before I could even get it out of my mouth, he's like, what are you talking about? I go, talking about the horrible road trip you guys just had at 2-7. Well, there are a lot of positives. There are? What are positives to come out of a 2-7 road trip? He gives me like 2 stats that are okay. And I can't remember I went, well, what about this? What about this? What about how you pitched? The ERA was over 5. You couldn't bat for shit. And on it went. And he just looked at me like I had 3 heads. And I'm like, get on your bicycle, which you used to ride to the park all the time, and go home. Get out of my face.
So his big claim to fame, contribution to baseball when he was running the Red Sox is he fixed Andrew Miller. And Andrew Miller became a great pitcher.
Yeah.
A reliever.
Yeah, fantastic.
He's a great pitcher. Pete, I know you got to go. You get me on. She's going to come on with the funeral show for the Jaguars. But,
All right.
So it is what it is. You and Angel have a good week. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Monday night from 6 to 8. That's fantastic. That is Jay Flanley up in Ann Arbor. Right, we're running really late here. Quick break, Angel. All righty. Awesome. That's great stuff. Great stuff, Angel. When we come back, Mia O'Brien from 1010 XL was probably, maybe she didn't even get any sleep after that game last night. I know she was up late. probably doing post game till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But she will join us at the bottom of the hour, up next here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Chicken and Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Don't miss the return of the legend, former Bruins goalie Tim Thomas. Tim will be at Sports World on Saturday, October 5th from noon until 2 p.m. Tim will be signing and taking photos. Prices vary, so don't miss this awesome event. Saturday, October 5th at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
On the move, launching down the middle, intercepted. Overs for the man and Damar Hamlin. A huge roar as one of the most popular, inspiring Bills comes up with the takeaway.
Then let the music take command. Back to another dimension. Stop the book and face off attention. Music to party, music to dance.
And welcome back. Final segment of the Pete Sheppard Show coming up here on the Coastal Sports Network. Felt like the Twilight Zone last night. Unbelievable first interception for Hamlin after 21 months ago. My God. Had to be resuscitated on the field. But picks off Trevor Lawrence last night. And they're also in the Twilight Zone of their own. Horrific, pathetic 47-10 loss by the Jaguars last night in Buffalo as they end up now 0-3 on the year. And then the other Monday night game, the Washington Commanders take charge and beat the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 38-33 on the road. And we've been talking about it all day long, those two games, and especially the Jacksonville Jaguars. By the way, Angel Mia will be calling in at 9:30. Says she's falling a little behind. Her cat puked all over the place. You know why? Because he watched the game last night. But she says she's running behind because the cat threw up all over the place. So she'll be calling in. So it won't be via video today, which is fine. Mia's going to be fine calling in on the program. And you can as well at 727-858-6650. Anywho, thanks to Jay coming on. And that's great, Angel, that you and Jay are going to start show on Monday and Wednesdays here on the, and then you're going to join. Anything's going to join you on Fridays as well. That's awesome. Great stuff.
Yeah, it just makes the day longer. But yeah, so we'll have you figured content 7 to 10 a.m. Pete Sheppard Show. Then the mid morning show there, Martinez Company. Excuse me, from 10 to 12. The Drive with Q 4 to 6. Beeves World 6 to 8, and then Lloyd Vance from 8 to 9:15. So the slots are filling up.
Now, the only mini faux pas, by the way, is that I go into my Twitter account, Angel. It says the Drive with Q on CSN Florida. So I know we have to change that at some point. So it's me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just yesterday when it's funny because I updated the one on Facebook and I was supposed to update the rest of them, but the only one that updated was the Facebook one, and then the rest of them stay with the Drive with Q. But it's okay. Everybody knows it's the Pete Sheppard Show here first thing in the morning.
Yes, they do. All right. Let me see. Let's scroll down. We were talking earlier about the Miami Dolphins, and they are the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead for a single second this season, which is absolutely unbelievable. But if we could scroll down, Angel, just 1, 2, 3. They talked about it on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Tua was supposed to meet up with a neurologist last week, but, and he's with Adam Schefter.
Yep.
So Tua is IR for 4 weeks. One has already happened, so it's 3 more games he is out for, at least with the IR designation that the team put on him, so that he can have ample amount of time to figure out whether or not he wants to play football this season or football ever again. Is that still the acting? And has there been any development in that world, or are they still just buying time to see how healthy he gets, Tua?
You know, he was supposed to meet with neurologists last week, and the schedule got kind of mixed up, and Neurologists were busy, and so those
of course. A lot of brains out here. A lot of brains, D-Butt. You guys, everybody's shrugging their shoulders disgusted here. You think he's a neurologist? You're just easy to book.
Well, Tua was too busy going to Disney on Ice, I guess.
No, well, the neurologist's brain was looking at another brain because there was a much more prevalent thing because they got 4 weeks to work with.
Can't find a head doctor anywhere?
Brains are always on fire.
No, they said, you just go to the game. You go to Seattle and just carry on with everything you do if you feel okay, is what they said.
Flying something too, isn't it? Because
you think so.
Yeah.
How about this? I had to fly 10,000 feet all the way home from Oklahoma.
Sorry, what?
Haven't even talked about this. We haven't even talked about this.
No Wi-Fi.
10,000 feet. Well, it came and went anytime we hit the wind. It's 10,000 feet and above, we got Wi-Fi. 10,000 feet below, you don't got Wi-Fi. St. Louis had quite a little storm on Saturday. I was in the middle of that thing, 10,000 feet. Couldn't go any higher because there was an oxygen leak in one of the tanks.
Oh, that's safe. In the plane?
So overnight, so I guess we weren't allowed to get to a certain altitude because if we would have needed the oxygen, it ain't there because it was leaking all night. Whoa. So we flew at 10,000 feet from Oklahoma, 2.5 hours, all the way to Indianapolis. I saw every fucking town, every single one.
That is your worst nightmare right there.
Whoa, couldn't get out. So as soon as they tell me this happens, the planes that we fly in can get to 40,000 feet because that's where smooth air is.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I fly in those planes. We are handcuffed to 10,000 feet.
Hitting treetops.
Due to FDA regulations or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever, I forget what it is. So we're doing it. I said, as soon as they tell me that, I go, any storms on the horizon? Because we're not going to be able to get around them, right? And they go, we look pretty good right now. And then all of a sudden, I see them start to move. Like, we are going this way, and I start seeing the plane on the map start go this way. I start feeling, I'm like, must be something. Crack open the door. I look up there. St. Louis has got a middle of a, we're in the middle of the bang. No service. We're at 10,005 feet. We're at 9,400. It was, and then all of a sudden, we're on the other side. And boy, it's beautiful. Anyways, pressure on your ears.
Well, Tua might have had an astronaut helmet on. We don't know that. He might have just had like the shoulders and up.
We're thinking good news though, right? For Tua, as opposed to that plane, 10,000 feet, 2.5 hours. Can't go certain speeds either.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Nuts.
We're riding at speed of smell across there.
Yeah, you can feel it.
That's still not as nuts as Tua not being able to see a neurologist though.
Yeah.
Neurologists are hard to find. Good ones. We need to find the good brain ones. Ain't that right, Shefty? Right? That's the problem.
There were some scheduling issues he's going to get. By the way, like they didn't feel like there was a rush to do it. Like he feels fine right now. He's felt fine. And so he's on IR. He's not playing for 4 weeks. So what does it matter if he meets with them last week or this week?
Well, neurologists need to have a little bit of respect. It's a man's future.
That's right.
This is the National Football League.
This is the highest level.
Yeah, can we get a damn neurologist to look at our quarterback? For fuck's sake!
This week.
God!
It's happening. It's happening. This week. All
right, this week.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
All right.
Good to see the Dolphins venture.
Yeah, still fired up.
Yeah.
They can't watch Skyler anymore.
No,
they're down boiled too already.
38 years old. That might be the worst Dolphins game I've ever seen in my life.
Good news. Can't find neurologists.
Go back to the AFC Championship game in '85 when the Patriots forced 7 turnovers. Go see where that. No, that's. And I disagree with Shefty there, only because this is his 4th concussion. We go back to Alabama over the last few years. I think it's imperative that you get to see a neurologist ASAP. You don't want to mess around with this stuff. Nope. You don't. I know he's got the next few weeks off. I understand that. But if I'm not waiting around for that because he doesn't feel like it, they don't feel a sense of urgency if you're the Dolphins, this is stupid. How can you not find a neurologist in this day and age for an NFL quarterback? Just ridiculous. Somebody's got to be around. There's got to be. Tell me there's no neurologist available? Not just in Florida, but around a lot of these guys. I mean, he was going to go out of state. Other guys go out of the state, sometimes out of the country if necessary. Unbelievable. I would not wait around if I'm Tua or the Dolphins. I would not be waiting around on something like that. With your 4th concussion in the last 3 years. I wouldn't be doing it. Me O'Brien is going to join us via phone in just a couple of minutes as we, you talk about Florida football. You talk about the Jaguars. You talk about the Gators. You talk about Florida State. Thank God, my boys in Miami. Thank God the Canes are around, and USF to a degree, because that's a good team. They're well coached, and they'll rebound this week, I think. And then FAU and FIU, they are what they are. I mean, it's just they are what they are. But UCF is a good football team also, and Who goes there next? The Gators go there. Florida has to play over there as well coming up in the not too distant future, if I'm not mistaken. So we will see. But man, between the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Florida State Seminoles, and the Florida Gators, holy sheep shit. That is a shit show beyond belief. One worse than the other. And then I got here, Florida State, or Florida State beating Cal 13-9. And that's supposed to be like a good thing. That's supposed to be like, okay, everything's fixed now. I hope to hell not. By the way, they announced yesterday the Miami Hurricanes, they're playing this Friday night at home against Virginia Tech. I hope, weather permitting, that is a gigantic sellout. But the game after this, they go on the road and they go to Berkeley to play the Cal Bears. That'll be a 10:30 start on ESPN on the 12th of October. So there are a lot of people. I saw some people on Twitter that are kind of outraged by it. Oh, my kids can't stay up. First of all, it's Saturday night. Your kids can stay up. Second of all, what are you supposed to do? It's prime time in California and the number 2 market in the country. So, yeah, I mean, would I like the game at 3:30? Yes, of course I would like the game at 3:30. Would I have liked the game at 7:30? Yeah, I would have liked the game at 7:30. But it is what it is. It's going to be 10:30 on ESPN on the 12th when they play at Cal. So there you have it. Another great rant yesterday. I think we played the audio or the video yesterday. But let's play the audio now. Mike Greenberg teeing off on Jerry Jones. It's what Jay and I were just talking about because the Cowboys should have signed Derrick Henry. Had a great chance to, and they didn't. Here's how it sounded like on Get Up yesterday.
Why can't you buy a mansion when you live in a different kind of house? We couldn't afford it. We can't make that all fit. It's simple as that.
Poppycock.
And sorry, but with all due respect, sir, it is definitely not as simple as that. Sometimes you can't buy a mansion because you ran up a lot of credit card debt or something like that. You made bad financial decisions, and that's what his team and his leadership have done. Maybe if you had decided to treat the offseason like it began sometime before September 1st, you would have been able to make some of these moves. But when you wait on the CD Lamb deal until you're the last mover, you ever heard of the term first mover advantage? Well, they were the last mover when it came to the great receivers. And so it cost them way more
like
than
a little
otherwise
pregnant?
would have. And they were the last mover. They literally signed their quarterback to the biggest contract of all time an hour before the season began. They had no offseason. So they got worse and more expensive, which is terrible management. So they could easily have afforded Derrick Henry if they had taken care of their business when they should have. And instead, he ran all over their non-existent defense yesterday. That is the Sunday statement.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. He's dead on. I mean, look, the fact that he's only a $5 million cap hit as well, Derrick Henry, is something else. What's that going on? Is that Mia? Oh, Mia O'Brien is joining us from 1010XL, driving into the stadium, and that should be a very interesting press conference. Mia, good morning. How are you? Did you get any sleep last night, or should say this morning? Well, I mean, and well, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed in you. You let your cat watch that game last night. It took a little bit, and then he threw up, or she threw up. I mean, and as probably most Jaguar fans were throwing up at the end of the first half, if not the first quarter, watching that game. So you're going to have to take some responsibility, young lady, for your cat puking. Don't let your cat watch the Jaguars until they fix whatever this is. And there's so much to dissect and analyze. Oh. All right, we'll get to the game in just a second here because I'm sure you could do 4 hours on this. At 40,000 hours, there's so much to break down here. But so were you supposed to go to Buffalo and something happened? I thought you were going to Buffalo. All right, Angel, I just want to make sure that we're hearing Mia. As I thought, when somebody just chimed in, I can hear her fine. She sounds loud and clear to me. Uh, On the video. All right, we'll keep going. We're on the app, so that's fine, Mia. All right, there's so much to talk about here with this Jaguars team, and I don't even know where to begin. Trevor Lawrence, as you know, I thought would bounce back. I thought he would be an MVP candidate. Still has times, a lot of football left, but I don't understand what is going on with this Jaguars team because they've gotten worse every single game. Started with Etienne fumbling through the end zone. It got worse their home opener last week against Cleveland, and now rock bottom again. Urban Meyer-esque type of football that we're seeing here. I really don't get it. Nobody seems to responding to anybody on this team. The defense, which has played well, I think you even said it the other day, if it wasn't for the defense, the offense, they wouldn't even have been in the first two games. But last night, a totally different story. They go to Houston this week on a short week and lose, and Doug Peterson's going bye-bye. That's my opinion. But where do we begin with this team, Mia? What has happened here? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you brought up a good point. I was going to ask you right now. So you believe that his OC Press Taylor calling the plays and not Doug Peterson, first and foremost, if he even survives this week, which I believe he will, then that has to change immediately because it ain't working. It ain't working. And your starting quarterback now has lost 8 games in a row dating back to last year. So let's just start there. Do you think Doug Peterson will at least officially, maybe not officially, but off the record, grab the reins again of this offense?
Yes, and I think he's going to have to do it on the record personally because I know the Khan family is none too happy right
Oh,
now. especially considering there were conversations in the offseason, some of which were made public, including Shad Khan's comments back in June after the stadium vote passed, that he wanted Doug to call plays. Trent Baalke has made it very known that he wants Doug to call plays, and yet Doug has resisted. And so I think he will publicly have to say it today when he meets with the media at 1:45, in my estimation.
If he doesn't, would Baalke be forced to fire? I mean, could he get fired before the Houston game? I tend to doubt it. But I'm saying if he doesn't
He's not
conform,
going to get fired before Houston. I also have on good intel, like they're at the stadium right now. They're all in meetings. They're all back to work. No one went home. No one slept. So I mean, he's there. There's no doubt in my mind. But I think in the conversation I've had with several people over the last 12 hours is this reality of, if he has tethered himself to Press Taylor already to this much, if you're Trent Baalke, if you're Shad Khan, you may have no choice. But if you're going to fire Press, Doug may say, I got to go too. And ultimately, because he won't say who's calling the plays and then just reverts to, it's my playbook, well, that's currently the issue at hand, at least on the offensive side of the ball, is that overall picture and the regression of your quarterback because of said picture. And so that's where I can't help but personally come away from this and say, if you want to deflect all blame to you, then you are the one who everything will fall at the feet of when all is said and done.
Neil O'Brien joining us from 1010XL. Our audio is back on the video platform anyway, so welcome back, everybody. The in the trenches, I mean, I really don't get it. When I was rewatched some of the plays this morning, Mitch Morse might have been the only guy that was semi-decent last night on the offensive line. The defense can't get any pass rush, and when they did a little bit, Josh Allen just simply ran away, threw on the run, and completed everything but the kitchen sink. And not like Jaden last night for Washington, but my God, where in the trenches, the Jaguars. Let's just start there, even before the quarterback. We got to start with the offensive defensive line here. There's a lot of blame pie to put out there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, certainly. We'll start with a little bit of a positive. The Jags did run for over 5 yards per carry again. I think that gets lost in the shuffle, and there's some people who, for better or worse, view that as, well, you're running the ball late when the game's out of hand. I don't think that's the case, because when you're down 4 scores, you're forced to throw it, even if they're giving you everything underneath. And so I thought you saw returns on the run game once again, which in the grand scheme of things is a positive development compared to last year. You also could finally get a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 last night. Again, not the case the first 2 weeks of the season or all of last year. So we'll take those 2 positives before we dive into the negative, which let's begin with pass blocking. That's a part of the game that falls squarely on the shoulders of whoever is constructing the offense and whoever is constructing the scheme. The reality is, if you were to watch the San Francisco 49ers, whether it's in a loss or a win, you will see that they only drop 5 back without any sort of protection, any sort of help, probably about 10 times a game. Even if they are dropping 5 back, they're 9 times out of 10 then moving the pocket and creating opportunities via play action or run pass option for Brock Purdy and company. You don't see that with the Jags. Those 5 linemen who, yes, certainly are mediocre when you look at the grand scheme of the National Football League, are expected to drop back all 5 of them together and figure it out with each of them on an island. That is not sustainable, even if you have the Detroit Lions or the Buffalo Bills offensive lines. And so that is where, look, I'm not going to defend the offensive line. If anything, I'm going to say they're trying, but they just don't have the horses for this course that, once again, whoever the play caller is, whoever created this offense, is expecting them to be. As for the defensive line, Josh Hines Allen,
Yes.
Put on a lot of weight in the offseason. That was, I guess, a suggestion from the new defensive coaching staff. You have Eric Armstead, who has played the majority of his career at 3-tech and 5-tech, reportedly, according to Pete Prisco of CBS Sports, insisting that he wants to play on the edge. And in turn, you now essentially have 5 or 4 defensive tackles lined up at the line of scrimmage, and they're charged with trying to stop Josh Allen, the back, or James Cook, the running back, and that's a sunk cost from the jump, basically. And so that is where, again, structurally, I think that Ryan Nielsen thought he had not only horses for courses, but he thought he had a similar personnel group to what he had in New Orleans, where you had absolute freaks like Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, who can do that sort of thing. And maybe you don't have that personnel here. I also think that the hockey shift substitutions, while valid if you have that personnel where you can constantly shuffle guys in, at this juncture, you can't be expecting a fifth-round rookie in Trey Prince to be as effective as, if he had been active, a veteran like a Darnell Savage, who was not active. And I think that was, excuse me, certainly a factor in this game. Obviously, losing Tyson Campbell for at least the next 4 weeks is certainly
that's huge.
I think in what you saw on the defensive side of the ball last night. Buster Brown got absolutely picked on, and that was against Keon Coleman, he of the 4.640 that so many people wanted to critique during the pre-draft process. And so, look, something is going to have to change. I spoke to people this morning who have said they are very curious to see what Doug Peterson, A, says at 1:45, but B, if in any of these meetings over the next 4 hours, if anything is alerted to the coaching staff and to the players that something will change, someone will be benched, something will change, because right now whatever they're doing is not working.
And I got to tell you, Monday night team on the road that loses and then goes on the road. Now the Eagles were one of the few exceptions over the years. They came back of a horrible loss against Atlanta, went on the road to New Orleans, and despite some of the questionable coaching calls, made some great plays and ended up winning that game in New Orleans. If the Jaguars go down to Houston again, Monday night loser on the road against a team that also got humiliated in Minnesota last week, they're going to be pissed off as all hell. If this ends up like 30-10 again, not only is Peterson getting fired, I don't know, maybe do you blow all the coaches up? I mean, at least Nielsen and Taylor, because if they lose badly in Houston and Peterson gets fired, what are you going to do? Promote Press Taylor? I don't know, or some other assistant coach that that I don't know about yet, but I don't know what the foreseeable future this week. And are you going to Houston? I'm going to assume you are.
Yes, I am.
So you might be in for a very long weekend. And I know the Jaguars plane, by the way, got in very late last night. On top of all that, right, they had a hard time getting off the ground in Buffalo or getting flying on time. But if it all goes awry next week in Houston, what's your gut feeling of what happens? Is it just Peterson or others that, get canned here?
I mean, if in my estimation, if it looks anything like it did the last 3 weeks, Press Taylor is gone. But the problem is, if Doug Peterson has truly dug his heels in and has said, if Press is gone, then I'm gone, then he may give you no choice, much like what happened in Philadelphia, which is the most damning part of all of this, Pete. This reality of we've seen this story before, even if it was a different script, so to say. This is the same, largely, issue that we saw in Philadelphia that led to Doug Peterson and the Eagles ultimately parting ways. He was asked to make changes on his staff. He had reportedly promised people that they would be retained in certain positions. When he did meet with Jeffrey Lurie, he said that he wanted to promote X, Y, and Z, including Press Taylor. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman said, no, we don't want that. And Doug said, if you don't want Press, then I'm out. And here we are. And so, look, that's where I unfortunately just have to follow and connect the dots as a reporter. And I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. Doug has continued to dig his heels in and defend this young man for whatever the reason may be. And so I know in my heart of hearts that, and from what I've been told, the Cons aren't happy and Trent Baalke's not happy. They want to lay the blame at the feet of Press Taylor. But if Doug continues to say, well, it's my offense, it's my playbook, then ultimately he's going to have to shoulder the blame, and he would also, therefore, be gone, in my estimation. I talked to some people this morning, though. They don't think, given the Cons' history of having a longer leash on head coaches not named Urban Meyer, that he would possibly relieve Doug of his duties mid-season. But I think that what you also need to remember is the most important thing to the Cons, the apple of their eye, the biggest monetary investment they have made besides those to the city of Jacksonville, is Trevor Lawrence. Yep. And if Trevor Lawrence is regressing and glaring at the sideline at Press and or Doug every sixth play, that's not sustainable for a whole season, let alone the duration of a 7-year contract. And you look around the National Football League right now. I know they just lost, but Derek Carr seems to be playing loose and free. You look at what Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, even with a new offensive coordinator once again. I know they lost too. But there is hope for if you can bring in that right match for the quarterback, they can succeed. And Dan Orlovsky, I thought, did a very good job last night illustrating that when Trevor is just being Trevor, he is a top 15, top 10 quarterback. But the problem is that the structure, and I don't even want to use the word pressure because the kid has had pressure on him since he was 15. I don't think pressure is the problem. I think it's this tight, compressed offense that he's being forced to operate within. And, you know, the reality of I don't want to say he's getting gun shy, but because he hasn't had a lot of time back there, historically speaking, he is abandoning the pocket, feeling phantom pressure. And that's not sustainable when he's only 24 years old. He doesn't turn 25 until next week. And again, he just signed a 7-year, essentially in a seven-year extension this offseason. And so that is where my concern is that if Doug and Press have lost Trevor, then they have lost the football team and they have lost the organization. And thus, you would have to part ways at some point sooner than later. To answer your question, if that was to happen, I think you'd have one of two options in terms of an interim situation. Mike McCoy is the quarterback's coach, who Trevor is obviously very, very close with, trusts. Mike was a former head coach, OC, quarterback, so I would think that play calling duties, in theory, would fall to him. However, he does have head coaching experience, so that's where he may be your interim. The other option is you make Ryan Nielsen the interim, and Chris Richard, the de facto number 2 on the defensive side of the ball, who has been a coordinator before, would assume the coordinator duties. If it's Mike McCoy, I wouldn't want him to have to be the interim and the OC. So that's where I think then you'd have to have a first-time play caller, which at this juncture, I mean, you know, what else do you have to lose at that point?
A couple more questions, maybe real quick. I know you're headed to the stadium. What kind of a leash do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be on? I know Mac Jones, had the fumble, and I'm used to seeing that kind of stuff. However, if things go awry in the first quarter for the Jaguars against Houston, and they're down, say, 13-0 or something like that, how soon would we might see Mac Jones this weekend come in if it's ugly?
Unless Trevor has thrown 3 picks, Trevor's playing.
Yeah.
Again, he's the North Star. He is their North Star. That's just the reality of the situation. That's who they've hitched their wagon to. This is not a Bryce Young situation. While yes, Doug Peterson didn't draft him, Doug Peterson willingly took this job and has been the head coach and has been charged with developing him for 3 years. So no, this is not going to be, in my estimation, a full Carson Wentz. Because if anything, we have the proof of Carson Wentz. And while certainly his career went down the tube after Doug and he both left Philadelphia, I don't think this is going to turn into that, Pete, because I think the Cons would pull the plug on Doug before it got to that point. I don't think this is a case of we need to sit him so he can learn. If anything, I mean, I think Trevor has proven that, when he does succeed, and when Christian Kirk succeeds, and when Travis Etienne succeeds, they very much maybe have been succeeding the last year and a half in spite of the system. And and I think largely the first 11 games last year were a byproduct of a defense that was playing with its hair on fire and recording takeaways at a record pace that set the offense up in good enough field position to win ball games. And so, no, this is not. I don't see a world in which this turns into, outside of Trevor getting hurt, this is not going to be Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz 2.0, because we already have seen that story before, and I think the plug gets pulled before we get to that.
From a sports talk show host point of view, how many, I'm sure the callers are, especially when you have to take them late at night after early in the morning after a loss like that, are brutal. Done it before a few times. It's not pleasant. But in your case, on your show coming up today too, despite Florida State's mighty win, 13-9 over Cal, and the Gators and somehow holding off Mississippi State, one of the worst teams in the SEC, but between the Gators, Florida State, and Jacksonville, I can't imagine your lines must be filled with negative and hatred and outrage, and that's great for a day or two, and then it gets a little monotonous, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think if anything, what I'm kind of studying right now is this idea of after a win or after a loss, do you have more traction? Because I know on our Instant Reaction podcast live on YouTube last night, we had at one point, I think it was over 3,000 people interacting with us on YouTube, Facebook,
It's
and
definitely
X.
a loss. I can tell you from experience.
Yeah,
It's definitely
right.
a loss. We had higher ratings at WEI in Boston when the Red Sox got swept by the White Sox in 2005, after the higher than the World Series ratings in 2004. What does that tell you?
Right, exactly. And I think the prime example is, because I think up till last night, you didn't really see that with the Jags. I would say it was more apathy after losses. The real interesting one is the Gators, because even after their 2 wins, that's where our Instant Reaction podcast and just our interaction on our podcast is largely down. But then you look at our Instant Reaction after the Miami loss and after the A&M loss, and we're talking 36,000 people have listened to that podcast. And so, I don't know, it was actually funny. Yesterday, I was joking with my colleague, Hayes Carline, after we hosted the Turbonex Kickoff Show. You know, I said to him, I was like, yeah, I mean, win or lose, like, I'm curious the reaction tonight, because the real numbers have been there for the Gators after a loss and not so much the Jags. But I think the fan base is at a breaking point as well. And while certainly, yes, there's more than just ticket sales that Shad Khan is concerned about. That's also an important investment, especially with the, I don't know, owners set to vote on a new stadium next month.
Oh, man. One last thing. Angel Martinez, our executive producer, has a question for you. Go ahead, Angel.
Me, I'm kind of surprised with Dougie P, because obviously when he went down to Jacksonville, as I mentioned to Pete earlier this morning, is that he went with a Super Bowl championship mentality. And I thought that's what was going to happen down there in Jacksonville. So I'm really kind of surprised he's gone backwards instead of going forward. And like you said, if Trevor Lawrence is getting that disconnect right now, I mean, I would think that unfortunately Doug may be showing the door.
Yeah, that's a great question, Angel, and it's something I've really reflected on, because when this team was 3-7, or even when they were 2-6 in 2022, players and coaches raved to me about Doug was the same guy, level-headed, didn't matter, win, lose, draw, same guy, and they loved that, and that's what propelled them to making the postseason that year. What's interesting is that I've heard from multiple people that he took a different tune. This preseason, this training camp was much more direct with the players, much more vocal, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that you couple that with the reality, which is that there were assistant coaches who tried to, for lack of a better term, stage a coup, not of Doug or Trent, but of Press Taylor this spring. And I don't know in what world, and maybe this is just Professor O'Brien of leadership speaking, I don't know in what world you could expect those same coaches who tried to rally and get your offensive coordinator out would then have players return to the building, to their meeting rooms, and not let their biases and personal feelings out in said room, and in turn those feelings feeding into the players, who also have to directly deal with Press Taylor, who is too busy concocting clip outs from The Lion King and playing them in meetings to try to inspire players.
What?
And at this juncture, I think players have just kind of tuned him out. And by proxy, that is my biggest concern, that now they're tuning Doug out.
I can't let you go on that. Hang on a second. So not like Braveheart with freedom. So what is he showing? Mufasa get thrown off a cliff, and we don't want this to happen. What did the last fight when Simba beats up Scar? What clip is he showing from The Lion King?
Yeah, I've refrained from asking the specific clips, but this week I may have to, because I think at this juncture, Pete, I don't know. Again, I said it last night, and I'll say it again. The toothpaste is out of the tube. There's no putting it back in at this point.
You're the best, Mia. Have fun. This should be an interesting day for you. You're going to do great. 1010XL, Mia O'Brien, and you got your show coming up from noon to 2, Helmets and Heels, right? And anything else you need to plug, you're on all the time on that station. Awesome.
Yep, 12 to 2 today, tomorrow, Thursdays. We actually have Jaguars programming in lieu of Helmets and Heels, but I will be on at 9:04 on the Duval Rundown daily podcast on the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel, and then 12 to 2 on terrestrial again on Friday before heading off to Houston for the weekend.
All right, well, safe travels. And I know because it's Southwest Florida, where I am, in this part of Fort Myers, we might get lucky and not get a whole lot of it, but I know it's going to head up your way as well. So safe travels, my friend, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Absolutely. Take care, boys.
All right, take care. That is Mia O'Brien from 1010 XL, the best, one of the best. And again, she's got to be leaving. She'll probably leave on Saturday, so the storm might be gone by then. But it has just been, Rick just said, Governor DeSantis just updated hurricane watch from 41 to 61 counties. Now, we were already under a watch. 5 to 8 foot storm surge in the Tampa area. Expect power outages, and have generators ready. So yeah, I am not surprised at that. We'll know more officially as the storm is still forming right around Cuba right now, and heading this way, heading our way in Southwest Florida. So
I will be standing outside, blowing in the wind's direction to make it go around Tampa. So I'll be doing my best.
Blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
Angel, great job today, as always. Thanks to Jay Flannelly joining us earlier. Great announcement. He and Angel going to be starting a show next Monday, Wednesday at 6 to 8 p.m. And then on Fridays at 11 a.m. on Angel's show as well. Thanks to Mia O'Brien. Just heard it from 1010 XL from Helmets and Heels, and does a whole bunch of stuff on the flagship for the Jaguars. And congrats to your Philadelphia Phillies for winning the National League East title for the first time since 2011, Angel. Anything else coming up today that we should know about? I know it's Tuesday. It's one of those weird days on the network.
No, just as usual, a lot of our viewer show will be replayed. Q show from yesterday will be replayed. So that stuff pretty much. And then depending on what happens tomorrow, all the shows should be live. And then Thursday will probably be the day there more than likely be nothing because of the winds and everything else.
Well, we'll see. Well, hopefully we'll see. I mean, that's so stand by, and I'll have social media announcements as well, depending on how much of the storm hits us. Hopefully. We'll have our shows Thursday and Friday, but we shall see. Safety first. That's it. Angel, thanks. Great job. I am Pete. Thanks to everybody for listening. A tremendous audience again today on the Coastal Sports Network. I am back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.
Yes, I